committee members ready? The August 4th, 2025 meeting of the Woolwich Township Committee is being called to order. Adequate notice of this meeting has been given in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act. Roll call, please.
Committeeman Frederick.
Here.
Committeewoman Minhas. Here. Committeewoman Williams.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Nocentino.
Here.
Mayor Mathias.
Here. If everyone can please rise to salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. Welcome to Woolwich Township Committee meeting. So our first item that we have is a public session. So if you are here to address an ordinance, the ordinance 2025-12 or 13, you will have an opportunity to do so. You are more than welcome to speak at the public session, but you will have an opportunity when we get to the actual ordinance. I will remind everybody that there are certain rules of conduct for the meeting. Those are attached to your agenda that you could have picked up at the entrance. We can have more copies made if you need it. So that being said, if you have other items that you would like to speak to, you are more than welcome to speak to it at this public session or the second one. We have 2 public sessions at every meeting, as well as with these ordinances, there's a public comment period as well. So that being said, can I have a motion to open the floor for public comment?
Motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The floor is now open for public comment.
Jordan Slump, 10 Wilshire Boulevard. Affordable housing has been going on in the Woolwich community for a while. Weatherbury built out their section, and they built or put out 3 sites that affordable housing could be built on. They've all been built now. The housing going up by Kingsway, they have affordable housing site going along with that development. My question is, what is this affordable housing site needed for? And is it for a developer? What is it for?
So we'll get to that when we speak about the ordinance itself, but to answer the question, it is to meet our round 4 obligations. The other obligations that you mentioned were previous rounds that are mandated by the state of New Jersey, depending upon the growth and open space that the township, each township has in the state of New Jersey. So this is for the brand new round 4 obligations. So we'll speak on that.
I understand you want to speak on that. There's a lot of people here that do they know what affordable housing needs are and how round by round goes and what goes in that to decide that housing is needed, because when they go and they look at a development, they go, well, they're building 1,000 houses. There has to be. Right now, they don't see the houses being built with the need for another affordable housing site. So I think people would like to know what generated the need for these 72 units.
And I appreciate that, and I'm going to make a statement before we get to that ordinance, which is hopefully going to address some of these questions and answer some questions that people have.
Good evening. Mike Damon, 7 Wesley from Four Seasons Weatherby. Last week we had some car thefts in Four Seasons Weatherby. I appreciate your response and the chief's response and police officer's response, 20 seconds to get to the area. My request to the board here and the police chief is for the police chief to look at his strategic plan and see if we can trap these guys in our neighborhood. Just thinking about it over the weekend, it looks like the guys drove right past the police officer as he responded, which I appreciate the 20-second response. But we only have 3 access points in and out of Four Seasons Weatherby. If the police officers would have just blocked Summerfield on both sides, we would have caught these guys. And we would have abandoned the vehicle, we would have caught the stolen vehicle, and then we could have tracked these guys down as they tried to escape. So the request is have the police chief just review the strategic plan on capturing these people. I understand we're not going to do high-speed chases. That doesn't make sense. But with only 3 access points, we should be able to get these guys within 20-second response. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, Dana Cotton, 183 Merseyside Drive. Sorry, I'm not here about affordable housing. I'm actually here about the Parker walking district changes. So I serve on the board of the Common Facilities, the Master HOA for the neighborhood, as well as Weatherby Hollow. I'm here as a resident and a mom of a 2-year-old. In anticipation of Parker becoming a walking district for the neighborhood, we'd like to ask the township to implement 3 changes to our streets. First is to make every intersection an all-way stop. If you go to the reserve section and Weatherby Place sections of the neighborhood, those streets are all-way stops and traffic is much slower. Second is to drop the speed limit throughout the neighborhood to 15 or 20 miles per hour. The change would add a negligible amount of time to travel in and out of the neighborhood, but allows more people this time to stop and react to people or kids that may be in the street. And third would be to add crosswalks to Merseyside at Kent Street, which is the small street that goes to the school, and at the end of Weston, where it connects to Balsam. Those 2 locations currently don't have crosswalks, so there's no way for anyone using a stroller or a wheelchair or anything to cross without climbing over the curb and walking across grass. I think that those 3 changes are really low-hanging fruit for the township to make it safer for kids to walk to school or ride bikes. I know there's nothing you can do to change the fact that Parker is a walking district for that neighborhood now, for our neighborhood, but we can do things that will make it safer for everyone that lives there. And thank you.
Thank you. And actually, while you're still up, we can say that those are all great suggestions, and those are all being considered by the township. So there has been continuous meetings with the Woolwich Township Police Department, with Public Works, with our admin team, and with the school district. So we are looking where all the walkers are coming from, so that the police department can institute safe walking routes to school and implement some of these changes that you're talking about. And I understand we're under a tight time frame because school is going to be starting soon. But as you said, some of the easiest things that we can do is institute 4-way stops. And anything that we ultimately do will be going to the HOA to have a consensus put out for it as well. So we will be notifying you as one of the HOA members, you said?
Yeah, I'm on the main HOA as well as my subdivision's HOA.
Okay.
Look
Yeah.
forward to seeing that.
Yeah, exactly, because we want our walkers to be safe. So what we can do within our power, we're going to review everything, see what all our options are, and then move forward to make sure that our kids that are walking to school are safe.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep.
Dean Stiles, 128 Garland, 2 acres. I know there are ordinances in the flow, one being the Jake rate exhaust braking for tractor trailers in the township. I believe it's an ordinance against having those Jake brakes and exhaust braking systems. Yes or no?
That's not currently on the agenda. No.
Because there is a sign on Sweetsburg Paulsboro Road, like halfway between the railroad tracks and the stop sign at Kings Highway, that says no J brake.
Okay.
I would assume that is township. I remember there being an ordinance.
Well, there might be an ordinance, and the ordinance number might be written on there, so it might not just be on this
Is there
agenda.
only one sign?
I cannot tell you because you're presenting it to me right now. We can look into it.
Who can tell us?
You can send an email to our clerk, who will then contact our Public Works and look into it.
Which also leads to traffic and volume. I know there was a committee set up to investigate commercial truck restrictions in the township. Specific streets were named. Where are we at?
We have a whole truck route that has been designated over the last couple years, and
Signage?
there is signage
Where?
along the truck routes.
Because I know Garland Road is one of those roads.
Okay?
I have not seen a single sign on Garland.
Okay. We can look into that as well.
Thank you.
Administrator, can you make a note of that to follow up? Thank you. That means everybody is here about the ordinances. All right. Seeing no further public comment, can I have a motion to close?
Motion to close?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, ordinance 2025-12, ordinance of the Township of Woolwich, County of Gloucester, State of New Jersey, adopting an amendment to the Kings Landing redevelopment plan and revised zoning map. It is currently tabled, so I'm looking for a motion to untable it.
Motion to untable?
Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Do you need a roll call to untable, or can we just do an all in favor?
We can do it all.
have an objection to that.
Sorry, please, but we have a motion on the floor. All right, can we have a roll call, please, to untable it?
Committeeman Frederick.
Yes.
Committeewoman Minhas.
Yes.
Committeewoman Williams.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Nocentino.
Yes.
Mayor Mathias.
Yes. Okay. As I said, I would have a public statement, so I have a public statement to read about it. As far as why the township is considering this ordinance. Excuse me, sir. I'm going to read this, and then once we open the floor to the public, you're more than welcome to state. Thank you. So again, a lot of you are here because you're wondering why the township is considering this ordinance, right? Why are we looking at this? So we're looking at it in order to ensure the full compliance with New Jersey's latest round of affordable housing and protect Woolwich long-term community interests and legal standing. First and foremost, this ordinance is a response to new state legislation signed by Governor Murphy, which sets clear obligations for all municipalities regarding affordable housing. Woolwich is engaged in necessary legal and permitting processes for the 2025 to 2035 period under the New Jersey Fair Housing Act. Enacting this ordinance is critical for securing a judgment of compliance and response from the courts, which shields the township from costly builders' remedy lawsuits and ensures continued planning stability. Failure to comply with affordable housing mandates can open the township up to a builder's remedy lawsuit. Woolwich previously faced such litigation that lasted for over a decade and cost us taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees and ultimately forced the township to cede its zoning rights. This is why you're now seeing significant housing density planned along the Kings Highway Boulevard. All those houses that are going in, that's because it was imposed through court-ordered negotiations rather than local control. Passing an ordinance safeguards the local control by focusing on affordable housing on carefully selected sites, such as Block 16, Lot 5, rather than risking court-imposed solutions. Woolwich has been preparing for sustainable growth along 322 corridor for years. Let's go back. The state plan endorsement for water and sewer infrastructure was achieved in 2008, with further regulatory steps completed by 2012. This allowed the 322 area to attract new businesses, support higher density mixed-use projects, and protect the town's rural lands and groundwater. The zoning was put in place to allow for commercial development. In fact, the front of this property, this parcel, which is along 322, is zoned commercial, which allows for retail. The entirety of the area along the 322 corridor in Woolwich Township was officially designated an area in need of redevelopment by township resolution in 2019. The preliminary investigation into the area's eligibility began then, and a redevelopment plan for the entire area was initially drafted in 2017. And there was amendments in 2019, 2021, and 2022. So that means all that was missing to get development there was water and sewer. Well, guess what we got a little bit ago? Back in 2008, the Woolwich Route 322 corridor, including this property in question, was designated as a receiving zone through the township's TDR program, which is the transfer of development rights, setting the stage for higher density housing that is now possible with water and sewer service. With its access to needed utilities, public transportation, 2 points of egress to diffuse traffic, and future walkable retail areas, this parcel is considered well suited for 100% affordable housing to help meet the state obligations while fostering the town's vision for community vitality. All of that leads us to today. While this ordinance ensures affordable housing compliance, individual technical issues, such as environmental constraints, proximity to pipelines, and so on, will be thoroughly reviewed by the Joint Land Use Board and outside regulatory agencies like the DEP, and not the Woolwich Township Committee. So that being said, that's how we got to this point to consider this. So, I would like to, for 2025-12, ordinance of the Township of Woolwich, County of Gloucester, State of New Jersey, adopting and amending the Kings Landing redevelopment plan and revised zoning map, I would like a motion to open the floor to the public.
Motion to open the floor.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
The floor is now open to the public. Again, reminded, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You mind if I sit or?
If you can take a microphone, as long as we can hear you.
My name is Ron Gajarowski. I'm an attorney with offices in Red Bank, New Jersey.
I'm sorry, can everybody in the back hear him? Yeah? No?
My name is Ron Gajarowski. I'm an attorney with offices in Red Bank, New Jersey. I have been retained by a resident of this township whose name is Stephen Caltobiano. He resides at 40 Garvin Lane, so he does in fact have standing to challenge this application. I do intend to call 2 witnesses this evening. One, his name is Janetta Dick. She is an environmentalist. The second is Phil Santorino, who is a planner. Before I get into that, I do have a jurisdictional question. It has not been referred to yet before this board, but when we look at the agenda, and I received a copy of it this morning, your staff was kind enough to grant my request and they emailed it to me. When I look at it, it says ordinances, ordinances of the Township of Woolwich, County of Gloucester, State of New Jersey, adopting an amendment to the Kings Landing Redevelopment Plan and revised zoning map. It then has in parentheses the word table, T-A-B-L-E-D, and paren. And I would respectfully argue to that, that is really grossly misleading, because when you use the word tabled, that would mean something is not going forward. And when I came into my office this morning and I saw that, in my diary, I reflected the fact that this hearing would not take place this evening. I spoke to people, and I spoke to my client, and he advised me that there was some discussions with regard to this, and that in fact the board was proceeding forward. I would respectfully say that this is a jurisdictional question. Jurisdictional being, you must give notice to everybody within 200 feet who is within 200 feet of the property. That does not deal with this. There are also people who are living without the 200 feet, and they are entitled to proper notice. Many of those people will come to town hall, they'll look at the agenda, just as I received a copy of the agenda, and it says tabled. Tabled is different and distinct from the use of the word adjourn. Oftentimes people go to a hearing, at the end of the hearing they'll say, this matter is adjourned until X date. Here, that wasn't done. Here, what is here is that, although notice was also sent out, this says tabled. So anybody who is living outside of the 200 feet, who comes to town hall, looks at the agenda, they can be misled. I'm not saying it was done intentionally, but I think it's a jurisdictional question. For example, if there are 1,000 people who are living within 200 feet, and notice is only sent out to 999 of them, and there's one person who didn't receive notice, the board doesn't have jurisdiction to act. And I would respectfully submit to you today, this board does not have jurisdiction to proceed forward with this case because the agenda is in fact misleading. Right now, this matter is still tabled.
Thank you for your comments.
I'm sorry?
Thank you.
So I would like a ruling from the board attorney.
Well, they're going forward. It was just untabled, and we appreciate your comments, but we respectfully disagree, and back to you.
Okay. So
The
you
matter will be heard, and listen, obviously, you represent Steve Catalbiano, which is great, and this will wind up at the J-Lub, at the Joint Land Use Board. There'll be a full airing of what is going to happen there. We're not going to have a hearing tonight. You're not going to call planners. You're not going to call experts. We're not going to indulge or engage you in some sort of mini trial or mini hearing because
that's reserved for the J-Lo. What we are going to do is just tee this up as an ordinance, and it'll be addressed at J-Lo. Presumably, you will engage in some sort of litigation, a complaint in lieu of prerogative writ, and you can roll this into it when you file that action about jurisdiction or whatever you like, and it'll all get ironed out. So that's how we do it.
Let me just also say this, and I respect your opinion. Both of us are lawyers, both of us are representing different sides. So what I want to make clear is right now this matter is still tabled. Secondly, are you saying that this evening I cannot call any witnesses?
That's exactly what I just said. Yes.
Okay. I just want to be clear with regard to that.
And presumably, you'll, take offense to that in a pleading, because you'll wind up at the J-Lo, which will be, I would think, within a month. And there you will call witnesses. There you will air whatever grievance you may have or concerns you may have. And then, as I said, I would expect a complaint in lieu of prerogative writ. And we went through this sort of thing with, the developer well, the mayor just spelled it out, but 10 years. So.
Very good. I want to thank you for the courtesy that you extended to me.
You're welcome to be here.
And we'll go forward. I hope I've
Yeah,
been courteous to you as well.
It's just a process, we get it. I mean, we get it.
I understand. Thank you, Mr. Alice.
Well,
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
I know.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the committee. I'm Phil Satorio. I'm the planner, Ms. Gazarovski mentioned.
Your name and address for the record.
To discuss the pending or proposed site plan. This is strictly dealing with standards of the ordinance.
Understood. We still have to have your name and address for the record, please.
Absolutely, yes. And I will give the clerk my card. It's Phil Sartorio, Sartorio, Galloway Township, New Jersey. Just for the record, I am a licensed planner for over 38 years. All municipal work on both sides of the aisle.
No.
Sorry. Thank you.
Again, we're not the Joint Land Use Board, so I'm not certifying you as an expert witness or anything like that. That's not this jurisdiction.
I just want to make sure it's on the record. My job here, is hired to look at the ordinance that's proposed, look at it, compare it to your master plan, compare it to the Kings Landing redevelopment plan, the local redevelopment and housing law, and also the municipal land use law.
Clerk, is that microphone on?
It's green, that's fine.
You probably need to be very close to the microphone.
Okay. All right, is that better?
You want to sit here?
Yeah, let me thank you. Is that much better? Yes. Okay. Not to run through everything, but, again, looked at the ordinance compared it to the redevelopment plan, for consistency, the master plan, also the local redevelopment housing law, and the municipal land use law. I could go through all the things I reviewed. Obviously, the draft or proposed ordinance, the housing element, the zoning map, the redevelopment plans, the reexamination report, the redevelopment agreement, and the endorsement of the housing plan, as well as the recordings from the past meeting where this was introduced, and the Joint Land Use Board. Just a few items. Number one, on the zoning map. Now, this ordinance would rezone a lot that is split zoned, community commercial, and right now it's R2, changing that to H2. And since the zoning boundary does not follow the lot lines, I have a question as to whether or not the exact location of that zoning boundary has ever been established by the zoning officer or the Joint Land Use Board. The reason for that is that good planning and court decisions require zoning boundaries to be delineated with reasonable certainty so that the location can be ascertained, and without having a clearly established boundary area, the area of the zone can't be determined, and it's not consistent with the first objective of the master plan, Goal 1, that objective being ensure that new development is well designed and adheres to recognized principles of good planning and smart growth. And the importance of this is as follows. The total area of the property is 20.48 acres. The proposed ordinance establishes a minimum development parcel of 5 acres. The redevelopment agreement cites redeveloper's proposal to be a 5 to 6 acre property. Multifamily affordable housing is the only principal use allowed in this new zone. Now, if the AH or proposed AH zone is larger than the proposed subdivision, it creates potential for one of two outcomes. The first being that somebody could come in to seek development of additional affordable units on the remaining land in the zone, which presumably would also require a variance for the size of the lot. That would not be consistent with your adopted housing plan and fair share element, which proposes the development of this 72 units on this property. It's also inconsistent with the master plan goal number 2 of promotion of orderly growth. The second potential outcome is that no uses are permitted in the balance of the AH zone. This would not be consistent with the requirements of the local redevelopment and housing law, section 4812A7-2, which requires the plan to indicate proposed land uses and building requirements in the project area. Again, no uses would be allowed there.
I'm sorry?
Is he listening?
Okay, so your 5 minutes are up. I'm going to extend it by 2 minutes, but if you could please.
Yes, thank you very much, Mayor. It could also be argued that this is a form of inverse condemnation, since the property owner is deprived of any beneficial use of the area, which would not be consistent with the KLRP as a non-condemnation redevelopment plan. Secondly, the ordinance establishes minimum front, side, and rear setbacks of 20 feet from the right-of-way or site perimeter. For comparison, the existing affordable housing zone is a 50-foot front yard and 30-foot side and rear yards. Having different standards that have an impact outside of the development for these similar uses is not consistent with the second objective of the Master Plan Goal 1, to strengthen ordinances that enhance community character, such as design standards, landscaping, and buffer regulations, and signage controls. I think at a minimum, the setbacks should be revised to at least match those of the AH zone. Further suggests that the setback from Garwin Road be increased beyond that to reduce the impact of any development of the AH zone on the adjacent lower density R2 zone. The recommended increase in perimeter open space would be in keeping with the fourth objective of Master Plan Goal 1, to retain the existing character of the community to the extent practical through open space preservation. Last comment is dealing with Garwin Road itself. It's 41-foot right-of-way, a cartway of approximately 21 or 22 feet, which is less than the standards for a local street established under your street design criteria. Using the state standards, the proposed development of the site could add up to an additional 396 vehicle trips per day on this roadway. Maybe not that high, but significantly more than what's on there now. It would also add to traffic congestion at the intersection with Route 322 and would be contrary to Master Plan Goal number 1, to preserve and enhance the quality of life.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Very briefly, I call
You're not calling witnesses. Somebody else can come up to the microphone.
Microphone's open, whomever is the fastest.
John, you sit.
Only because the microphone's better. Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, Junetta, Junetta, Dix, Dix. 320 South Shore Road, Memora, New Jersey. I am the environmental director of ACT Engineers. I have 37, almost 38 years of experience as an environmental consultant. I hold a Bachelor of Science degree in marine biology from the University of North Carolina at Wilmington and a Master's of Environmental Management from Duke University. And I've been recognized by many joint land use boards.
Not a joint land use
I
board.
understand, but I'd like to get it on the record, if you don't mind.
Understood.
Every 5 minutes or whatever you want to say.
Recognized by environmental commissions, land use boards, and city councils as an environmental expert. Greatly appreciate the need for affordable housing. Understand that the township is under an obligation to provide for that. Having said that, from an environmental perspective, I'm not convinced that this is the right piece of property for 72 units. And there's a couple of environmental and site constraints that I think when you designate this particular site for 72 apartment units, that I think you should consider before you vote on this ordinance. This site, on the site plan application, is about 5 acres. Over an acre of that is environmental concerns and environmental constraints, wetlands, wetland buffers, and a 70-foot wide gas easement that bisects the property. When you take all of those environmental constraints or those limiting factors, it's not 5 acres, it's more like 3 or 4 acres. So it's not 15 units per acre, it's more like 18 or 19 units per acre. And I think that's something that you should be considering. If it looks like 15 units per acre on paper, when you're standing at the site and it's bisected by an easement you can't build in and it's shoehorned on either side, it doesn't look like 15 dwelling units per acre. It looks like 18 or 19 dwelling units per acre. And I think that's something that you should consider. I think there's a concern for potable water. By your own environmental resources inventory, we're really close to a critical area. In 1986, the state limited withdrawals from our aquifer. There's concern for potable water supply for 17 apartments. There's also surface water considerations. We know that Kings Highway floods regularly and it's eroding. We know that the stormwater traverses across this property. There's a small, possibly inadequate culvert. I think all of that, which I understand will be addressed in the land use board, but I think those are environmental and site constraint considerations. When you say this is the right site, I'm not convinced from a professional opinion that in fact it is the right site. And then finally, DEP permitting. I understand that eventually it has to get site plan approval and all other appropriate outside permits, but I think all of those things should be considered when you're looking practically, what is this going to look like on this piece of property with an easement that bisects the middle, wetlands and wetland buffers, on the north side, and really bifurcating this property and what it really looks like. So I hope you'll take those things into consideration before you decide that this is the right piece of property in the entire township for 72 apartment buildings. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey guys, my name's David Gentile. Okay, I live on Garland Road, 253 Garland. My concern over there is the intersection of 322 and Garland. Every morning I watch kids zip in, they're being missed by inches. There's already been 3 people killed up there on that corner. I don't know how many accidents on that corner. It's like it's just a nightmare waiting to happen. I see the kids, especially when they let out of school, it's backed up from Garland all the way into the parking lot, into the school. It's one line across. And let me tell you, they're just shooting across, they're turning, they're this way. And I'm like, holy, it's like I'm ready to jump out of my car and go help them. Because I know they're going to get hit. It's going to happen. In the mornings, the traffic, the lights aren't synchronized correct. So the traffic builds all the way up from the Wawa, all the way past the school. It's just one line, nothing moves. And the kids are trying to squeeze through. And they can't see around the traffic and they just go. and it's gonna happen. You know, I know you guys are gonna stuff the low income somewhere, it's gonna happen. You know, whether it happens there or whatever, but I can tell you, that corner, no matter what happens, something has to happen. Either it can't turn in, or it has to be right-hand turn only, or a light's gotta go there, but I don't know how many people gotta die there, for something to get changed. I mean, they just, when I sat on the zoning board years ago, that corner was at failure status from the state. There wasn't one intersection in Woolwich that passed. They were all at failure status. They fixed the one by, Kings Highway, and they fixed one near the Y. But that one's still there. They did the other one farther down, but it's still there. And all the kids turn in and out there all year long for sports, for games, whatever. So I just wanted to, you're thinking about adding more, like 72 houses. I mean, they jammed the other stuff, our golf course, our stores, everything's disappeared. And we jammed more cars in there. Like, those houses aren't even built yet. And they're not coming out by the school, because you can't get out by the school when school lets out. The buses are lined up from one end to the other. They zip right through the parking lot and out back behind Garwin Road, and they zip both ways now, just go. And I see it all the time. I'm just waiting for one of them to get hit. It's gonna be bad. But when you're thinking about it, just think, those cars aren't even from that new development. It was 1,100 homes going over there. They're not even in the mix yet. And it's already a disaster, so.
I hear you, and I think, I don't want to speak for everybody on committee, but this is a very, very big point as far as the traffic on 322 in general. So, yeah, I know, we've been advocating with the state, because this is a state designated corridor, so therefore you think they would pay attention to it.
And not only that, since they built the warehouse, now.
Well, you have more volume,
Yeah,
and
it's
you have.
gliders, and now they're zipping around, and nobody's paying attention. They're just going around, and it's gonna be a mess.
So we've been working with the Delaware Valley Regional Planning Authority, and actually with the county, to look at a regional study to see what we can do.
Right.
And because again, it's not our road, so it's not like I can even go to the taxpayers and say, we're gonna widen 322. So we need the state to take action. And I hate to say it, but since we're South Jersey down here, they're like,
Just keep it.
but, oh, it absolutely is. And it's something we're gonna keep advocating for. And now I know who to call to help, come with me up to Trenton. So, thank you.
Natalie, can I still speak? I know you represented me, but.
Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
Okay, do I have to go now, or can I go later?
Well, you're up, Steve.
All right, can we approach, or, because I have some exhibits?
Yeah, if you have exhibits, yep.
And one thing I just wanted to start with, Steve Caltabiano, 40 Garwin Road. I can.
If it works.
I want to explain exactly what Phil just said with a picture, so everybody can notice here. All right, Ashton as well? Yeah. Okay, so what we have here, 20 acres, all right? Let's say 10 and 10 for a round number, okay? Currently, commercial quarter and R2, all right? It's going to be zoned commercial quarter, AH2. Everybody follow that? Subdivision, you're going to do this. Okay? So what's left? Roughly, just say for round number 15 and 5. Okay? What's the middle? What's the question mark area?
Like, what is the zone?
Yeah.
It'll be R2 or
It can't be
CC.
rezoned it.
We're rezoning the portion.
You're rezoning this and this.
We're rezoning a portion of the existing one.
What portion?
All right, address the township committee. If you want to address township committee, please do so.
What portion is being
You can
rezoned?
mark that.
What portion is being
Caltabiano-
rezoned?
you can Mark that Caltabiano 1.
Okay, next. And here, so I can show you this. Okay, guys, if you can show, here is the site. So
You want
guys-
your exhibits introduced or not?
Sure.
Well, then mark them.
Okay, exhibit 1. That's exhibit 0.
Well, then write them. This is what I'm
That's-
trying to
that's
tell
the
you.
way it goes.
I was just trying to tell you. Caltabiano 1, that's all.
Exhibit.
And just on the
This is
back,
0.
just so you get it right, that's all.
There we go.
And then you can leave them and they'll be part of the record. That's all.
Okay. All right, so this is the site. Okay, I know you guys have seen it on black and white paper. All right, this is the real site. First thing you notice, single family homes. Okay, that's what's there. We kind of all know that. And you want to drop an apartment building down in there. All right, these are the gas lines. Okay, right down the middle. I think everybody's aware of that. You have two 21-inch gas lines, all right? According to popular science, there are 2 gas explosions every week in this country, okay? If you guys want to put 200 people 20 feet from the gas lines, okay, good luck with that. Secondly, you know all about the traffic. These are, in the past 36 months, there's been 108 accidents within a half a mile of this area, okay? So you want to add, I don't know, 100 cars right here, okay? And I have to show you this video. There is traffic in real time. None of you guys live right here. We live in the bullseye. All right, this is the real traffic. I'm going to have to speed it up. So, Exhibit 5, whatever you want to call this. Okay, typical rush hour. This is school time. I know that. All right, everybody sees 322 in Garwin. Okay? Crossing 322. This car apparently is and trying to make a left. Everybody see? Everybody get the idea where we're at? Okay, I'm going to speed it up on double speed. We'll never get through it. And I'll just click it ahead. 4.5 minutes. 4.5 minutes sitting, trying to make a left onto Garwin. 4.5 minutes. You want to add, it's right here, making a left. You want to add 100 cars here. Okay. Good luck with that one. And this is a typical, this is just about every week. There's an accident. Garwin's closed now. Both ends, Garwin is closed. Everybody get the idea? That's almost every week. Okay, at some point. Probably every 10 days. Whatever, Exhibit 7, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I gotta hurry up because I know I'm on the clock. Okay, last thing. Wetlands, everybody sees that, and I get it. There's environmental concerns. We all understand there's wildlife. We want to preserve some farm and try to keep it consistent. No one here knows this because none of you live there, all right? All of this drainage, here, 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 and here, goes through here. You guys may have seen Kings Highway collapse before. All this water goes here, and here's where it ends up, right? Next to my house and my father's house. Let me show you what that looks like. None of this has been considered. No chance any of these guys did any of this. They don't know. How did they know this? I know because I live there.
Steve, I'll give you 2 more minutes.
Thank you. This is, hold this up. This area right here is what I'm showing you right here. Right next to my house. We had a little bridge there, but when they started doing all the construction, 322, this bridge was probably 50 years old. Okay. Let's see. This is a typical little stream. About 4 inches of water there. See a little bridge? My kids used to use it until the construction literally washed it out. Now, here's where we're at. You get any decent rain, same area, same bridge. Seven feet of water. That's all from here. It comes here, it floods our yards. Okay? What do you think this, with all asphalt and rooftops, is going to do? Is it going to help? No chance. Exponentially worse. So what I'm asking you guys is to consider there's got to be a better site. I think the best one, clearly, is here. All right, we're all familiar. Eagle View Trail, ShopRite, right? How about here? All right, we know that spot. Seems to be working okay. That's one. How about this one? Dunkin' Donuts right behind. And I know, retail, I get it. Retail, commercial, whatever. There's probably a few things floating around. Maybe you get a little strip mall. we're not getting a Lowe's, we're not getting a Home Depot, we're not getting a Walmart. It's not gonna happen. You guys know that. So, what's wrong with this? Why not this spot? Give the people something. Give them a little something. What looks more familiar? This? Diner? Pharmacy? Bank? Dunkin'? CVS? You got doctor's office? Dentist's office? Auto repair? Nail salon? Insurance? Wildlife pharmacy? Or this? Stick them out in the field. Desert. We all have to drive everywhere. We do, because we live here. We know that, and we're fine with it. So your intention is, hey, a bus goes by once a day. Where are they going to go? They're going to go to the ShopRite on a bus? Just consider other sites.
Thank you.
Too much traffic.
All right,
Thank
we'll
you.
leave the exhibits with down there with the clerk. Give them the thumb drive. You have the thumb drive. You leave the thumb drive.
Can I have the yellow paper? Is that part of the exhibit?
Yeah, the yellow paper. First page.
The mystery zone that doesn't exist.
Jordan Slump, I still live at 10 Wilshire. Do you guys have the right to vote this down tonight?
Everybody is entitled to their own vote, yes. They can invite. I think I've highlighted what happens should we do that.
Dean Stiles, 128 Garland. Football field is in my front yard. Those of you, I don't know who lives on the north side of the town. Dean, step up.
I'll step up. I know how to use a microphone. Football stadium is in my front yard. I don't know how many people here on the dais live on the north side of the township. I imagine a lot of these folks do. We go down Garwin if we can. I have stood in my kitchen and heard more times than my 9.5 fingers can count. I can hear the brakes, and then there's a split second, you don't hear anything, and then you hear the impact. And I've run with 911 on my cell phone. I've run down in the corner, 300 yards. It's no big feat when you know there's somebody or somebody's laid up in what used to be a beautiful Victorian home on the corner, if we all remember that one. Somebody took that, thought they were going to put a Nathan's on that property. It was too small. We're trying to shoehorn 70 apartment buildings into a beautiful, beautiful area that could very well be a park for the township on this side of the township. If you vote for the zoning change for this little piece of property, it goes to the land use. Why wasn't this set as commercial property 2-3 years ago when you did the zoning changes in the area? There was a bunch of properties. You changed my next door neighbor and his mother's property on Garwin to commercial. I believe the lawyer at the time stated there's no residentials, no houses on those properties that were changed into commercial. No, there were. We had to point that out to you. Why? Why are we shoehorning? We understand the need. We understand what the state is forcing us to do, is forcing you to do on our behalf. However, why do we have to change the zoning before you go to the planning board? If the planning board, or the land use board, is going to run through all these, the lawyers can show up, yes or no, blah, blah, blah. Why are we changing the zoning ahead of time?
So I can't answer that part.
Please.
Because of the way that the housing element in the Fair Share Housing Plan is situated. When the state came through and said, Woolwich Township, this is the number of affordable housing units you have to do, Woolwich Township had to come up with a realistic opportunity. How can we find a realistic opportunity for these houses? So the state came up with our number. The Woolwich Township Committee and our professionals then went through and did a vacant land adjustment. And we said, all these, whether it's wetland constrained or it's already approved for a project, it took our total number from what the state originally said and it took it down. So now we have to find an actual realistic opportunity for a certain amount of credits. So where do we put them? How do we find a place? So we have a combination of actually some of the exhibits that Mr. Caltabiano showed. We have, those are our MUD zones. And those with the affordable housing plans, we put 20% set-asides in there for it. But even with the 20% set aside for affordable housing, we cannot meet all of our state obligations without having a 100% affordable project. So then it becomes, where does that go? We are responsible for providing, like I said, a realistic opportunity to find a credit for these homes. So there's a developer that came along who had an option on this land, presented the land to the township and said, what do you think about this? Does it meet the requirements? And we looked at, is there access not just on Garland Road, but is there access on Kings Highway? So there's more than one way in and out of this development. There's a whole bunch of factors that go into whether or not a parcel will qualify for tax credits. The developer gets tax credits in order to do this. If Woolwich Township had to build a 100% affordable project, Woolwich Township taxpayers would pay $25 million. So instead, we look to partner with the developer. The developer does the project, gets tax credits by meeting certain parameters. So the parameters include access to retail or the opportunity for future retail, a walkable place with sidewalks in place, close to education, close to public transit. So all that is along Kings Highway. So some of these other sites would not score 100%. So
we're
all
not
those
close to restaurants. We're not close to food sources.
Yes, as I highlighted, and again, along 320,
Nothing.
you know you've been there so long.
Yes,
you know that the coming soon signs.
70 years.
So, exactly.
So that
So the
bridge
coming soon,
that Steve mentioned
as long as it is,
has been there for more than 60 years.
Right.
Actually, no. It's been longer than I've been alive.
So as long as we provide a reasonable opportunity that this stuff is planned for, we have the water and sewer, we have everything in place with the zoning, so that can meet our obligation requirements. So some of these other sites,
That's all you have.
Some of these
That's
other
all
sites
you will have.
do not match 100%.
No, you don't. You're not even 20%.
Okay.
You're not even. You really aren't. You've got water and sewer. All the other houses, we all have water and sewer. We have wells. We have septic fields.
Right, public water and sewer is a
I
qualification.
understand that. That was a qualification for all the warehouses that are empty down 322, whatever we're getting from that. So we're shoehorning 70 more units, 100 cars a day, 3 or 4 trips per day through that little intersection down Garland Road, which can't handle it. That bridge is what, 4 ton? Our engineer doesn't know.
Well, again, there is access along Kings Highway, but again, I'm here about the
So
ordinance.
who's going to be on the bill for improving the bridge? We're not allowed to have commercial traffic down the road, correct?
Correct?
So who's going to foot the bill of the new bridge? The county? Good luck.
Thanks.
Good luck. You know, on all due respect, absolutely. We live on this side. We all live on this side. Not on this side, but you know what I'm saying. There's got to be a better place. Got to be a better place. It's no time for a shoehorn. It's expedience. And it's not right.
Understood.
Dave, no, my God.
You gotta
David
speak really
Beckett.
close.
David Beckett, 7 Gabrielle Circle, Woolwich Township. First thing right out of the gate, I think what I'd like to address is the committee. I know you guys all work hard, but perhaps maybe getting our professional to be more professional, to greet the people that were speaking, just from a offset, it was a little off-putting, I feel, the way, the tone and the abruptness. So he works for us. He represents you. I think the other thing, I'm not here to debate the site, and it seems like you're going to have a whole list of things to discuss if it gets past this and it goes to the JLUB for this project. I think the one thing that I have a question about, as you stated earlier in your public statement about you need to have this requirement or to show a project that is going to be launched to satisfy the state. But we already have, correct me if I'm wrong, 2 affordable housing zones in the township right now, right? You have an AH and an AH1, and now we're going to do an AH2. And why do we need that? It feels like we're spot zoning or retrofitting a zoning for this particular project when your master plan is set and you had, I think I heard 30 and 50-foot setbacks, and now you're coming up with a project that has 20-foot setbacks. That feels opposite to me for consistency. That feels opposite to me what zoning is supposed to be, which is a consistent and it fits to your master plan. And I thought when it went to the JLUB, it said the project wasn't inconsistent with the master plan, but it is inconsistent because you have to make a new zone with revised setbacks. So that flies in the face of what we're doing here. And I feel like we're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, and we're doing it through a zoning change, which will have ramifications down the road for anybody that comes in and can't do, a 50-foot setback in your AH1, and they're going to be, well, make it AH2 because you've already put the precedent out there that the township was willing to do that. So that's my concern.
Thank you. And I can address that briefly in that each of those zones was created specific for a project, and each of those projects were for our last round obligations. So as we look at this brand new round and this brand new obligation, yes, this is a
If I could just say, though, I think 20 feet is pretty aggressive. I think if we were to take a tape measure and say from you to 20 feet, I think people would be stunned how close that is. And I feel like that brings a lot of risk for a lot of people that are going to be brand new to Woolwich to have responsibility to maintain. So I think 20 feet is pretty aggressive in this size community.
Thank you.
How's everyone? John Maroney, 145 Laurel Trail in Woolwich. So just a couple questions. So under the affordable fair share calculations, were they brought to the township, or is that something that you guys did a feasible study on for the calculations? Did the state provide those? The state provided those. Were there any other parcels considered under the feasibility study? Are they public record?
So they're part of our plan.
I know, but I mean, as far as the actual development of the affordable housing, these apartments, has that been the only parcel that's been considered?
That's the only parcel a developer has brought to us.
That a developer brought to you?
Correct.
No one else has brought anything to you?
Correct.
At this point? Okay, so if something else comes before you, there's a possibility that this could be moved to another location?
Well, if we pass this tonight, then this will have met our 100% affordable housing goals and gone towards all the credits. We won't need
I
anything
understand.
else.
According to
for the
the
next
state's
10
calculations.
years, according to the state's calculations.
Right. Okay.
Builder approached you for buying CVS. That's true.
All right, thank you.
Salvatore Calviano, 48 Garwin. Lived there almost, next month will be 63 years. I really have a couple things here, but I think we'll just move to the back of this. And there definitely are other places to do this in the township. And I don't think it's probably, you're concerned more about the developer picking a place to do this than you are the township picking a place to do this. That just doesn't. The person who brought this to you said they had bought that property and then tried to figure out what to do with it, and this is what they want to try to push down our throats. There are there's a couple of other spots. Block 7, Lot 5, Paulsboro Road, 322, behind CVS. There's Block 12, Lot 2, behind Dunkin' Donuts. Wide open, flat landscape. Has dozens of amenities, convenience stores, dentists, pharmacy, storage, endless opportunities, walking distance. Garwin, there's nothing there that is really going to provide anything to the expected tenants you're going to have. Where are they going to go? They can't walk anywhere. They're going to walk across 322. Got a long walk back to Swedesboro. It just doesn't make sense. And as far as I'm concerned, the site really offers no such resources as we mentioned. And as far as doing the right thing, I think you want to do the right thing for the residents, and you might want to do the right thing for the proposed tenants that are going to be there too. To put them somewhere where they can have the amenities that they're going to need. It's obvious there's going to be affordable housing. It doesn't have to be there. It's kind of starting to not pass the smell test. Okay,
So,
thank you.
I don't know if you're familiar, there is a municipality, and maybe solicitor, you can help me with this. They had to do eminent domain. They took over a family farm to put in their affordable housing. And I don't want us to do that anywhere here in Woolwich.
No.
So that's a step I don't want to have to take, because I think farmers should have autonomy and everybody should have autonomy to do what they want with their land. So, do you know the name of that municipality that was looking at that? And yes, they are.
Right.
But that's a step that the municipality had to take because they didn't have somebody to work with them, and they're trying to meet their state mandated housing obligations.
Plus the cost of the municipality.
And the cost of the 25 million. So,
But like I said,
so these are, it's no simple answer. There's no simple answer. There's no perfect spot.
No, but
So I hear you.
But it seems like, as people have said, we're trying to put a square peg into a round hole here for some particular reason.
State law.
I don't know who come up with the reason.
State law.
State law.
The state picked that?
So
What
in
if the
essence,
state came down and went out there and said, oh, this looks like a perfect place to do this?
So I think the problem that we're presented with is when you have a developer come in, find
Well,
that
back to the
parcel.
developer again.
If you would allow me to finish, please. The developer has eyes on that parcel. They believe that they can get financing that meets all of the requirements. If we do not work with them, I can guarantee you we will be hit with a builder's remedy lawsuit, which is what happened with the Steve Wolfson properties that dictated all of the zoning that I think a lot of us can say we're not super happy with the final outcome. This was nearly 20 years of litigation, and it's the number one thing I want us prevented from being in again, because we take any control we have and give it to developers who consistently have more money than Woolwich Township. It's not something that's going to make...
You're going to change the zoning because you're scared of getting sued? Okay, that's a great, that makes sense.
I'm concerned about Woolwich Township being sued. I'm a taxpayer here like the rest of us.
That's what I mean, you're scared of the Woolwich being sued.
We're not having a back and forth.
Is the developer paying taxes?
It still seems to go back to the developer. Why do you have to do this tonight, make this zoning change? So that seems like it's one more step closer to getting what the developer wants.
And
Not
that's,
necessarily what the people of Woolwich wants. And if there are other places, then change them too, right there.
Numbers coming.
Why just pick the one?
I'm sorry, I can't hear the speaker because of the sidebars, so please continue.
Well, how about you're going to make more changes than just, why just this one? Why this? Because you keep saying the state, but the state didn't come pick it out, the developer did.
I hear what you're saying.
All right, well, offer the developer another place. Or you got them, you're not changing the zoning there. Has that been considered?
I'm sorry, where?
Has it been considered to change the zoning at a couple of these other places that have been
Yes,
mentioned?
we already did it. That's what I'm saying. It's already inside our fair share housing plan. So it's all included in there. Tonight, the step is cementing the fair share housing plan into law so that the developer can go to the joint land use board with this new zone and they can apply for their 9% tax credits. So whether or not they get the tax credits, that's on the developer.
Well, the other block and lots that have been mentioned, they are also zoned for affordable housing now?
They are zoned for a 20% set aside for affordable housing, yes.
All right. Well, like I say, it just
Thank you.
appease the people of Woolwich Township. And look out for the tenants, give them a safe place to live. And as people have said, you listen to 322 with blowing horns and tire screeching. You're not helping it.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ralph Wagner. I live at 172 Spruce Trail, Woolwich Township. This area, as everybody said tonight, seems like a bad spot for an affordable apartment complex and unlikely to be buildable. The land severely sloped. There's a large portion of wetlands and a bunch of wildlife. And apparently 2 gas lines that run through it, which we've heard tonight. My biggest concern as a resident of Woolwich and a parent of 3 kids, 2 in Kingsway, is the traffic. And that's, I think that needs to be addressed. And to put that amount of housing right on 322 just doesn't make any sense to me tonight. So I just want to go on record with that. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Brenda Caltabiano. I live at 40 Garwin Road. I'm not sure if they answered the question of, anybody looked at the one near ShopRite, that little area near ShopRite to build?
We have looked at it, and it is
Is that
part
a
of the considered
proposed site? No?
bid. It is not currently under consideration.
Because,
Well, now you're getting into the weeds on affordable housing and putting so many certain types of housing within a certain distance.
so close to each other, right? They're too many too close.
Well, they're
right?
that would be right next to each other as
Correct.
opposed to a mile apart.
Right. Too many in too many shots. All right, I had a speech I was going to read, but I'm going to let my son read that now. In the last week, my thoughts and feelings over all the opinions of the governing system have completely changed. And I'll be honest, I thought I had a pretty good grasp on it. On Tuesday, we were notified that the builder had threatened our lawyer to quit, citing conflict of interest, followed up by another call to our lawyer on Friday to make sure that he was off the case. Hence, we had to start all over with a new lawyer, not to mention the financial burden it has created, paying a whole new lawyer. And I guess, I don't know, that's how the system works, but I was pretty dismayed by that. Plans were originally sent incomplete to the joint use board, missing important data such as setback dimensions. But the board was told that by the engineer that everything was in compliance with the master plan. When the real plans were submitted, the minimum setbacks, front, side, and rear were 20 feet. I'm not sure what that's in compliance with, since no others are. The developer sent public notice to the property owners within 200 feet for the August 7th minor subdivision and site plan hearing. This was before fully complete plans were submitted to land use. Plans were then again submitted by the developer to land use incomplete, forcing the cancellation of the August 7th joint land use meeting, or so we were told. Then, magically, 3 days before this August 7th joint land use meeting, the plans were deemed complete. And now the August 7th meeting is back on. It seems that someone or some bunch of people are working very hard and jumping through hoops to make sure these developers get all their approvals by September 2nd. That's the deadline, which is an important date because that's when the developers must submit their complete affordable housing funding application. Something stinks, right? We know it, the residents know it, and the board knows it. Let's be honest. The township is bending over backwards to help the developer jam this all through without consideration of the harmful effects of the environment, the neighborhood, safety, the overall well-being of the residents of Woolwich Township. Elected officials, your priority is to look out for the hardworking residents of Woolwich, not to help the builders make money off of us. Thank you.
You guys mind if I use this one since it works better? All right. My name is Nicholas Couchpiano. I'm the son of Brenda and Steve, and live on 40 Garden Road. And this message is on behalf of my mom. Good evening. Thank you for giving me a chance to speak about something that is very important to me and my family. 20 years ago, my husband, our 3 children, and I resided in Gibbstown. It had always been a dream of ours to move to Woolwich and build a home next to our in-laws. It was important that our kids grew up close to family. We didn't choose to move to Cherry Hill or Deptford. We gave up big box stores and malls for farmland and small businesses. We gave up developments and congested roads for single-family homes and open land. We wanted that hometown, down-to-earth feeling you get when you go out for a drink or you shop at the local grocery store. I enjoy running into those old friends you haven't seen since high school, or the ones you have made along the way. Over the years, my children attended school here in Swedesboro, Woolwich. We're very happy with the education that they received, despite the cutting of full-day kindergarten, very big class sizes, and my girls not getting to participate in 8th grade middle school sports because of the budget. If you think that building all these homes isn't going to strain our schools, you would be sadly mistaken. I'm semi-retired, and I've spent time substituting at my alma mater, Kingsway School District. Most class sizes are very large, students eating in the gym and in classrooms. If you think your child is getting the best possible public education they can, I would certainly invite you to walk into one of their classrooms. Teaching a class of over 25 students is very difficult. I was very surprised to hear that the township is giving the builder over $1 million to build where I now look out of my front window and see tall corn on the right of me, and on the right of me, soybeans. I'm very fortunate to see deer, turkeys, squirrels, rabbits, foxes, and even those pesky groundhogs. That's what we signed up for. We would love to see the state provide money to our local, hardworking, multi-generational farmers. Why not give them monetary incentive to continue to farm? They are grandparents, moms, and dads, and even children of our community that has made Woolwich a great place to live. And while I think that change is good in some instances, this change would damage a life that we and our neighbors have built for the past 8 decades. My husband and I have always tried to give back to the community. Steve and I have volunteered for various youth sports teams. I was a member of the Swedesboro Woolwich School Board. Steve was a small business owner of Commodore Coffee and Bagel at one time, following in the footsteps of his grandfather, who was the original owner of what is now Rhodey's Fireside, as well as the gas station down the street. My father-in-law worked in this town for over 40 years. We call that a legacy, one in which our family has built for generations over 100 years. Our family roots are strong here, and is where we want to stay. We ask that you look out for the loyal, lifetime residents of Woolwich, not for the out-of-town builders who stand to make a huge profit at the expense of local taxpayers. Please rethink the changing of the dynamics of our quiet, rural street as well as our neighborhood. One other thing that I would like to bring up real quick, I'm pretty sure somebody mentioned earlier, 3 deaths kind of in this area from car crashes. Just something to think about. What if that was Lily? Then what? I'll leave you with that.
My name is Ed Duper. I'm at 311 Commissioners Pike in Alloway. Listen, I know I heard earlier that this site had 2 accesses. We mentioned about where the Dunkin' Donuts is on Swedesboro, Paulsboro Road and 322. There's currently a for sale sign on both of those corners. I think it's a little larger than the parcel here in question. And my thing is, you tell the developer, put your option under that piece, and come back to the board and try to put that. If it's larger than he wants, then you go in with your, maybe have a mixed use, put your affordable housing, and put some retail out front, whatever the case may be. And then on the opposite corner, on Paulsboro Road, heading back towards Swedesburg, between the original CVS and down towards the railroad track, a large parcel, plenty of way to have two accesses in and out of the development. All right? I know you all hear from the Caltabiano family, and I question each one of you up there. If something like this was getting thrown down your throats, and you lived across from the development that this is proposed, and you see all the negatives and the objections, I don't know of anybody up there that would vote if this was planned across the street from your current home.
I'm Jen Beckett, 7 Wayne Drive. I am dead smack in the middle of the nonsense going on Asbury Station Road currently, as well as this supposedly new proposal. Yeah, this little one has almost been in 3 near accidents, and she's only 10 months old because of the intersection that I'm forced to use. Especially with the nonsense going on Asbury Station Road. We never know when the roads are going to be open, when they're going to be closed, when there's going to be detours. So, and then you have all the trucks that are coming down our roads now. You tell me that they're not supposed to. We know they're not supposed to, but I can tell you every day that there's tractor and trailers going down our road. And then where do they have to turn? They got to make lefts and rights onto 322. And then whoever was the educated person that decided that put 2 lanes going into one right at our intersection really needs to live on that street. Because every day coming home, picking her up from daycare, I question whether we're going to live or not. But no, other people who aren't even in the state, they get to come down here and get all these cuts, all these different little pay incentives, but yet your residents that are currently here, we're suffering. Now also people come here because of land and education. We have a good school system. It's maxed out. If anybody tells you otherwise, they really need to go into Kingsway. Big class sizes, people, if you just go onto Facebook, mom groups, they're all complaining about the education now, but how large classes. This one, she probably won't even make it to public school because of how horrible it's becoming. And I just don't know what to do, but I feel like there's no transparency. Reason why we're pushing this part so hard, why? What's the bigger agenda? That's what I'm questioning.
Not being sued by the state.
But there's other places. Like
They're already included.
So focused on this one piece, but you've already admitted there's already other places
Right,
that are suitable.
because they are already included in our fair share housing plan. So we've included every parcel that we could that would meet. Now we have to look at what meets 100% of the criteria. But I hear you.
But they don't have to go
I
from
hear you.
single family homes to now apartments. They're already done.
So I'm sorry, what?
My whole point is, why are we changing the zoning suddenly? Like, if you already said that there's already approved, and it's already part of your master plan, but yet these people don't know your master plan, because there's no transparency.
Okay.
That's my issue. That's her issue, because our safety is number one. But also, you have these low-income houses, so what? If they don't have a car, they have to walk? You're gonna make them walk on 322?
There's going to be sidewalks put into place.
Hi, I'm Brenda Bugler. I live at 190 Garwin, and I actually grew up with Steve. His mother used to help put me on the bus in the morning. I've lived here almost my entire 60 years. I was in an accident a month ago at Garwin. We were sitting at the stop sign. We were a third party. A kid crossing 322 coming up from where you're proposing sat there for a couple of minutes, not quite sure why. He then pulled out in front of traffic on 322. 2 cars were totaled. They then hit us. We now have to pay a deductible to get our truck fixed for something that we weren't even a cause of. And if I could, and have someone, because New Jersey's a no-fault state, it goes on your own insurance. We're going to try to get the kid that, caused the whole accident. We don't know if we can sue or not because of this tort threshold. So we're out money, and that's now with the traffic. It's going to happen every single day. I've changed my work hours so that I don't have to go out to 322 to go to work, because I work in Beckett. I changed my work hours so that I can go after most of the kids are gone, and some of the parents are just as bad. And I understand where the kids get their driving skills from. They get it from the parents. They don't use signals, they don't look. The other day coming home from work, I try to avoid the middle of town. I come up Lock Avenue. At the new light, I will then turn to 322 to come towards Garwin. I am coming up to the intersection to make a left. Somebody passes me on the right-hand side, and he misses the stupid curve that goes like this. I slammed on my brakes. He would have hit it, went airborne, and then hit me and hit other people. There's just got to be a better place. The traffic, are you going to put a light on Kings Highway for that exit and entrance? Have they said anything?
That will be up to the state of New Jersey to review
Because
that.
if you're kind of trying to come out onto Kings Highway and there is no light, you're never going to be able to make a left-hand turn to go towards school. You're only going to be able to do right. Or they're going to come out on Garwin and then try to make a left. It's just not feasible. And then there was a comment earlier about taking it to the land use board or something, so it kind of sounded like you guys already had your minds made up that you're going to pass this. That's really what it sounds like. And we don't feel as residents that we're being heard because you're afraid to say to the developer, there is another spot that is better than this. This is a horrible spot. Horrible. I get it. We need affordable housing. I have been in one of those spots. I could not pay my rent at one time. I had to move back home with my parents. I get it. I've been there. But if you would have put me in that spot and I had no access to public transportation, how are they going to get to the grocery store? So not only is it a bad spot because of the accidents and the traffic, it's a bad spot for any of those residents who don't have transportation. And you said they're going to put in sidewalks. Where are they going to walk to? Wawa? And spend an arm and a leg for eggs? That really needs to be thought of. It sounds like someone's not thinking of the bigger picture.
Well, again, first, I'm very glad that you're here to provide witness for that intersection. So I'm glad that you're okay. And I hear what you're saying about the intersection. So you are being heard. I do just want to clarify real quickly. So these other parcels that are outside of this one will not score 100%. So you asked where are they walking to? They're walking towards the bus stop. On
no
Kings
bus
Highway,
stop.
there is a bus stop on
stops
322.
once a day.
Exactly, but it doesn't matter. We're not setting New Jersey transportation. The scoring criteria is where are they gonna.
Is it? Okay.
So, but regardless of that, because again, that's not what we're looking at. We're looking at, is there going to be a realistic opportunity? And it goes back to this area was designated as a commercial corridor with the opportunity for retail for years and years and years. And so we all joke around, coming soon, coming soon, coming soon. We just have to provide the opportunity that coming soon, someday, there will be retail, there will be job opportunities. Someday New Jersey Transit will expand that line and there will be a bus stop. So, and it might not. It might not. But in between, so making 100%.
If these apartments get built, is it going to be disclosed to the people that move in there that the bus only stops once a day?
Well, I have the builder here who can mention that. We can talk to them about that.
You know, that's just, there's things that need to be thought of. And we haven't been explained that if this has been thought of. And I'm just really, I already think you guys already have your minds made up from the comments that was said. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ed Hatton. I'm at 203 Eagle Court, Woolwich. I've been here for 25 years. Question I have for the board is there a time constraint that we have to meet this housing allotment by the state? Is there a certain date we have to supply our proposal to the state and we must meet it by X date, or we have penalties or we lose something?
Yes. Actually, Ashton, can you talk about the timeline?
So this all started with the housing element and fair share plan. We submitted the fair share plan to the state. So that is in the state's hand. Then in that plan, we specify how we're going to satisfy this site and the other sites discussed today, near CVS, et cetera, are in that plan as future sites to provide affordable housing. So we submitted the plan saying, this is how we're going to comply. It's at the state. We then have to put into what's called the realistic opportunity, so hence the rezoning of the site. Once you put into realistic opportunity, you have sort of satisfied your requirements. So you have a plan, and then you rezone it, and you say, here's how we're going to meet our plan. At that point, then we still are waiting on the state, so the state happens. There's going to be times of appeal, not necessarily for this ordinance, but for our plan. So we have a plan. Anyone could appeal our plan. Those are due at the end of August. So at the end of August, we'll know more about our plan and if someone disagrees with that as well. Ultimately, in about March of 26 is when this all gets settled. And that time frame, that sort of gap between August and March is if your plan gets, if you go to court and further proceedings on and on and on, ultimately the deadline is March 26th, is when everything gets settled and the state stamps it and says, you're approved.
So as a site, or as a potential site, this has met 100% criteria, what we need to present to the state. Is this the only site that a developer that has proposed, from a developer, has been proposed to us in our designated areas?
There were other sites presented, but this is the one that meets 100% of the criteria set by the state, not set by the township, set by the state.
So this is the least resistance path.
This is the path that meets 100% of the criteria.
All right. Again, I don't want to just keep going over the same thing. I have 3 daughters, went through the whole system, all the way through Kingsway, wonderful time. The traffic from middle of Swedesboro all the way through to Kingsway Regional High School is probably 20 minutes in the morning. Accidents is unmentionable, it's unbelievable. Then we have young students that are starting to drive, it just puts more pressure on the area. As a parent, and or the potential site of these houses, apartments, whatever we're going to be, being put in. All right, I go to the dad phase. What do you need for your family? You need like a little bit of an area for kids to play in, a little recreation area, something suitable. You also don't want cars whizzing down the streets both sides. You're going to be a little cushioned, but you're still in a constraint. The topography of the area doesn't work because you're not going to have anything that's flat. You're not going to have a single plot on that land site that'll be flat for children to play. Children need a place to play. The other thing is there is nothing they can get to. Now you're going to have children who, all of us when we were kids, we would like to go to the corner store, get a bubble gum, this and that. There's nowhere for these kids to go. they're trapped there. And this is in every situation, but it's a bad spot for children. You're putting them in imminent danger. There's nothing there for them to, excuse me, to get to. The Wawa's too far. The sidewalk proposal, I get it. You can't get to Swedesboro. I mean, there's nowhere for them to get. Now, the pressure of the traffic in the morning is just going to be more and more. The infrastructure, of course, 322, 2 into 1. I mean, how that got passed, I have no idea. But we keep going over it. I think it's obvious. We have one developer and it came up with 100%. So we're going to push forward because it met that criteria. It met that criteria, but is it really the best spot? Is it really, with all considerations, is it really the best spot?
Let's wait to see if there's anybody else first.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Sophia Caltabiano. I also live on 40 Garden Road. First quick thing, I just want to say I learned how to drive on these roads. Garwin, I've lived there my entire life, obviously. I know people mention crossing over 322, but I think the biggest issue is also driving down 322. I know I worked at Wawa. Turning left or right onto Garwin, whether you're going up or down, is extremely unsafe. There has literally been tractor trailers that try to pass in the one lane. The shoulder's a couple feet wide. They try to pass. It is super unsafe. Even my parents tell me sometimes, like, go the other way, pick a different way, like, try to avoid that because people are absolutely flying and they have no regard for other people. So I don't know how you're going to consider putting people walking there because, I mean, I would never walk on that street. Like, I worked a mile away. Never in my life would I consider have walked there. My grandparents would come pick me up, drive me to work. So please consider that. Another thing is please just base your vote on the facts of their locations, such as consistency with the existing single-family homes, the neighborhood, the environment, and the traffic. You cannot base your vote on the fear of being sued. That's all.
Good evening. My name is Derek. I live on 12 Back Creek Road, Derek-Keeshan. I was just wondering, the other sites that were not at 100%, like the one that everyone's saying by the Dunkin' Donuts, we all know, what was it that did not make that 100%? Do we know?
Good question. Very good question.
So there's an important distinction.
Okay.
And the distinction is a tax credit application and then just any other type of project. So generally, affordable housing is built in one of two ways, either through a tax credit application to the Housing Mortgage Finance Agency with the state of New Jersey, or through what's called an inclusionary development. And an inclusionary development is when a developer comes in, builds something, and then a portion of that project is determined to be affordable. So the settlement agreement, Wolfson, that whole project, yes, it was a settlement agreement, but it ultimately was an inclusionary project. So that's a distinction. So when we're talking about criteria, it's criteria dictated by the state of New Jersey for that tax credit application versus just building a project and then you, the developer, figuring out what the zoning is and then setting aside usually what's called a 20% set aside. So that's the distinction. So there's the criteria of sites for and due to regulations by HMFA, and then separately there's anyone just building something and setting aside 20%. So the other sites, they are in the plan. They are in the plan for a 20% set aside. So they too will have an affordable component, just not 100%.
And is there any way to make it 100%, or it's just because it doesn't have a proximity to a bus stop or storefronts?
Yes, so the criteria, so when you submit to HMFA, you're competing across the state, and there's various applications, and the state then ranks all of those applications based on cost of project and then this criteria, zoning, all of these various things. And all of these items sort of have a point assigned, and the highest point wins. That's how it works throughout the entire state
Would there
of New
be
Jersey.
in any way the township could increase the points to another property to make it more competitive to
The
one car one?
the only way to increase points is so you can get a point for a project being in a redevelopment area. You can get a point for rezoning the property. So all of those steps are steps that the township could take, which one of these, we're here discussing some of those points. But other than that, the points are set literally by the project and its location and the criteria that the specific project meets.
Okay. That was all my questions. Thanks.
So at this time, I'd like to call the developer up. We will still accept public comment, but first I'd like to hear.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the Township Committee. My name is John Gillespie. I'm an attorney with Parker McKay, and I represent Park Grove Development LLC. I just want to point out a couple of things that may be helpful. I hope they are anyway. One, the ordinance. Is that better?
You can use them.
The ordinance before you actually implements the master plan amendments that were adopted by the planning board on June 5th. So the discussions before you this evening, much of that was really the subject of what should have been discussed on June 5th in front of the planning board. For example, alternate sites. Are there other sites available? Some of the other concerns. That record was closed on June 5th, and the planning board unanimously adopted this housing element and fair share plan as part of your master plan. So the ordinance implements that to achieve the 100% affordable housing that Your Honor has discussed. It's also important to remember that, and I think you mentioned this, Mayor, in your chronology of the property, that for over 10 years, this property has been part of an overall plan that called for the development of the site in a center-based fashion. And the residential component of it was of a higher density than would otherwise have been the case. So higher density residential was always contemplated for over 10 years. It would be unlawful to consider this type of residential center development without allowing for affordable housing. And so one, this is not something sudden. This is not something that's being jammed down anybody's throats. This has been the plan for over 10 years, that there would be some residential on the overall tract. The idea of achieving a 100% affordable on these 4 or 5 acres, which is, by the way, plenty, contrary to what you've heard, there's plenty. There are plenty of 100% 70, 72, 75 unit developments on sites of this size. With regard to the setback, we did agree, by the way, that the 20-foot is going to be increased. So at the planning board meeting, that setback from the 2 roads will be more than 20 feet. So that would be in the redevelopment agreement, right?
Do you know what it will be?
I think it's 30 feet.
30 feet?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Again, correct. And I'm putting it on the record that Park Grove will include in the redevelopment agreement a 30-foot setback that it will agree to. It's not. That's why it's not in the ordinance. The other thing is this. The number of units. You've created a plan. You've drafted a plan that has been unanimously adopted by the planning board on June 5th. On June 19th, by the way, the planning board reviewed this ordinance and referred it back to you. Contrary to what someone said, it doesn't say we find that it's not inconsistent with. That resolution specifically says it is consistent with. Right? The planning board found it consistent with the master plan. This ordinance that's before you this evening. The 116 units for which you get credit. So 70 in the plan, 70 are to be built. 46 don't have to be built, but you get credit for them. So that's 46 units that aren't generating traffic that would otherwise have to be built. That's 46 units that aren't generating school children that otherwise have to be educated. And that's 46 units that aren't requiring municipal services. That 46 units that doesn't have to be built for which you get credit is almost 25% of your total number of 198. If you didn't do a 100% affordable housing facility and you were going with set-asides, for 116 units, if the set-aside was 20%, that would be 580 units that would have to be built for an inclusionary component of 116. You don't have to do that. That would be 510 units more than is being built. If it was a 15% set-aside, it would be 773 units that you would have to accommodate in this municipality. That's 703 more than this plan calls for. So the entire purpose of the 100%, not the entire purpose, one of the benefits is that you don't have to build 5 or 6 times that many to be inclusive. It is 100% set aside, and that's all you have to build. And you're getting 46 additional credits towards your 198. So this development of 116 comprises almost 60% of your total obligation. The idea of whether or not it's appropriate site, as I said earlier, was before the planning board on June 5th. The plan that was adopted was on file with the planning board and with the township in May. There's no secret here. There's no lack of transparency. The plan was available for public inspection in May. At the June 5th, I reviewed the minutes of the planning board hearing on June 5th. No one spoke. Mr. Jones gave a recitation of what was included in the plan, how it would work, what was contemplated, and why it was beneficial. So the idea that this is purely for the benefit of the developer, most respectfully, this is pretty much a joint venture. This is a benefit to the town because you don't have to build that 510 units, nor do you have to build those 700 units if it was 15. So if there...
Please. I'm going to extend his time until we can hear him.
So again, the ordinance before you implements the master plan that was adopted on June 5th. It achieves the opportunity to create definitive, concise housing without having to go to the set-aside, the inclusionary, whether it's 773 or whether it's 580. You don't have to worry about that. It's in this plan. And if there are any questions that the governing body has that you would like to be answered, we have a team of professionals here that can answer your questions. But I think in terms of the legislative role that the governing body has this evening, it is purely to implement the planning of the master plan by adopting this ordinance to facilitate this. And again, I want to remind you, this was always intended, this larger piece, for residential development that would have been a higher density. So that's all I have.
Thank you.
Put it in your backyard. What about that?
Okay, I believe we still had 1 or 2 people who would like to speak for the first time before speaking to the second time.
You just answered my question that I asked you.
I'm going to take people who haven't spoken yet.
Ladies.
Good evening. My name is Elizabeth McShane. I live at 104 Cedar Court in Woolwich, New Jersey, right around the corner from Garwin. And thank you all for being here tonight. I know that these are all not easy positions to be in as fellow members of our community, and we appreciate your time in considering all of these topics that are very important to all of us here in the room. And I would say that Garwin is a road that I travel regularly. In addition to all of the young drivers that are coming and going from Kingsway every day, there's a lot of families with small children that take Garwin to get to Creation Academy, a preschool right down the road from Kingsway. And I never take Garwin to cross Route 322 because it's not safe to do that. And I'm an experienced driver, so I know that I can spend the extra 5 minutes to go the long way and take the lights. I hate to think of what it will be like to have another road with 72 homes coming onto Kings Highway and how much less safe it will be and how much more traffic there will be. When I purchased our property in Woolwich, I actually read the strategic plan before I chose the lot. And I really appreciated that our community had a smart growth plan in place. And I did take into consideration where all the natural resources were in our community. And I implore that you guys will continue to make those smart decisions for the growth of our community and not be intimidated by some of the numbers that were just presented to you or the threats of lawsuits. The lawsuits aren't going to come from you not changing our zoning. They're going to come when they submit a plan to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, and they have to make this lot fill their plans for development. That's when you're going to get sued by not making those zoning changes at that time and changing the setbacks and the distance from the wetlands. And they'll change things to get those permits in place. We do have wetlands on that property. They're listed as modified agricultural wetlands. That is a wetland type. Not because it was modified by agricultural is it no longer a wetland. It is. This site is actually a wonderful site for a wetland mitigation property or to do a wetland restoration on it. If you look at the soils, if you look at the depth of the water table, if you look at what the wetlands are mapped, if you look at the hydrography layers and the stream that goes through that property, it would be a great mitigation site. That's smart growth. That's using every corner of our community properly and to its best use. 72 units is not a way to do smart growth on that lot. And by changing the lot dimensions, you will be enabling the development to occur. That's not the smart thing to do here. We have to think about the best use of each acre of our community. Do I want to see more commercial development? Honestly, no. I like that when I come off of the Turnpike exit, this is the only exit in New Jersey that's not overly developed. I enjoy that. I appreciate it. And I think it's important. I do recognize that smart growth does need to occur. And I know that it was planned for Route 322. So I can accept that. But why make changes that were not part of that original plan to allow for development that is not smart and not safe for our community? So I know that it's getting late into the night. I do have to get my 5-year-old to bed. And I know that you're all here not being paid and voluntary. And I really appreciate that somebody is willing to do it because it's hard work. But as you make your votes tonight, I just hope you keep some of what our community has brought to the table tonight and to make those decisions smartly.
Hello. I'm Alexis Caltiano. I live on 40 Garwin Road. So a developer came to the township with a plan for affordable housing behind CVS, and it was denied. So the only reason, my question to you is, the only reason the open land next to ShopRite is not being considered, is it because it's near another affordable apartment site?
I'm not sure what you're referring to in the beginning part of your statement.
There's 350.
I'm sorry, left.
That's 350 townhouses and affordable behind CVS were proposed. They got
A developer came to them, and it was proposed to build behind CVS, which is, there are stores there, ShopRite, CVS, and it was denied.
Denied by the Joint Land Use Board, denied by the Township Committee. I need to speak to this ordinance, and I know, look, I do
Over here.
understand, but I can't
Young lady,
What?
I'm talking to my daughter. It's her time.
well, no, the mayor was trying to help her to see what her question was.
I'm trying to help her. You know, come on. That's what you tell them. It's in the fair share plan, 350 townhouses and affordable were proposed behind the CVS. They were denied because the township wants to do commercial. So if you want to try and repeat that.
When was this? We'll play telephone
The
here.
fair share plan.
So in this fair share plan, I'm sorry, I'm not following.
He is referencing the meeting with the developer, Ruben.
I'm sorry.
Clint Allen and Ruben, the developer who proposed the project. That's what he's referencing.
Oh, you're referencing a project that hasn't been considered other than for a 20% set aside? Is that?
Yeah, that is what is being referenced.
So it's a proposal, and it would have a 20% set aside, which is included in our fair share housing plan. So I'm not following how.
350 towns and affordable behind CVS.
That is the 20% set
With a
aside
20%
project.
set aside,
Yep.
so that's included in our
That has
fair share
not been
housing
denied.
If you didn't want to do all of it, and you didn't want to do more affordable there, because
I'm sorry, this is a proposal first. It hasn't been introduced to anybody because we still need to consider it. The whole entire township committee hasn't even been introduced to it because it's just a concept. We have to provide a realistic opportunity. So I don't know where you're saying it's being denied. It hasn't even been considered yet. But even if it was, that would be including the 20%. Any project that goes there has to include the 20% set aside. So I'm not going to get into a back and forth. I can just tell you there has been no plan that has been presented to the Township Committee or to the Joint Land Use Board for consideration. So if you would like to come up to the microphone, you're welcome to, but there's been no plan that's been brought, and I can't say that any more than that.
No, it's good. It's about.
So the open land next to the shop, right? Why is that not being considered?
So that has been put in and looked at, and I believe it's a density issue. But again, it can be included inside the master plan. We have to look at the size. We looked at everything else. There's just right now no need for it right now to be inside our fair share housing plan.
But it's needed next to my house, okay, with no shops or stores. So anyway, again, you are, as I'm just sitting here watching this whole thing, you are the Woolwich Township Committee, and we are Woolwich Township, so they are not, the builders are not, and we're supposed to be a team. So just all I ask is please help this team, not the builders. Yeah, your job is to help us, listen to us.
I'm not going to give you another story. Thank you. Tell them how good I can hear back there. Hello. My name is Peggy Caltabiano. Yes, another Caltabiano up here. I live on 48 Garwin Road. And I would just like to ask a favor of all of you for a moment. Would you please close your eyes for 5 seconds and think about your own property and how you would feel if they were building 72 new units across from you. That's all, just 5 seconds. It's not a pretty picture. And you wonder why at my age I even would care, because how much longer am I going to be here? But by now you probably figured out I am the matriarch of this remarkable family. And I have lived on Garwin for over 62 years and witnessed the dramatic changes in the township. After a year of the nightmare of this traffic that has gone on because of the warehouses, now they're going to start putting these houses across from my home. This is not making me very happy or anyone else, and I don't think I am overstating when I say that you're making me a hostage in my own home. It's become Russian roulette at crossing 322 now, and you worry about getting sued. I would be worried about getting sued if there is another accident and a child loses his or her life. That's the suing you should be worried about, not the... I don't want to draw this out any more than anyone else has, but I respectfully request that you all take some time and think about it. I know you have come here tonight knowing that you're going to pass this, and that really makes me sad. I don't think any of you live anywhere near Garwin Road, do you? You do, and do you? Well, I hope you think about it when you vote, that's all. But please give us a chance to have some normalcy, deny the zoning change of Block 16, Lot 5, and do not build the affordable apartments in an area which better serves the current residents and future tenants also. Thank you for listening, but please reconsider. Don't.
Hi, Sam Leone, 516 Wig Lane, Piles Grove, New Jersey. I represent Park Grove, so I am a part of the development team. I just want to answer a few questions that I know that were brought up by the public. The New Jersey tax credit criteria is pretty specific as far as site selection, and it's intended to really steer affordable housing towards areas where residents can gain access to public transportation if they need it. A lot of the families do earn up to 60% of the income, so there are families with cars or that have access to other forms of transportation, but public transportation is important. And so the site, is on Kings Highway, which I realize has limited bus service, but it's about the best service that Woolwich Township can offer as far as public bus service. I've been in the area for quite a long time. Grew up in Woolwich, went to Kingsway, very familiar with the area. I know that the apartments right behind the municipal building were built around the same time as the municipal building. I don't think CVS was there. Superfresh wasn't there. It was built under the same scoring criteria that the state had, under the premise that Lotto's, at least, is a mile away, that other transportation is nearby and other services. And you fast forward, and you can see that the retail has come. As far as I understand it, I think that the planning that's been mentioned in the past and other conversations here tonight, started 10 years ago, probably more like 20. I remember the TDR conversations, which transferred development rights to that side of the town. I know that there was a long battle to try to get sewer there. I remember all the commentary about, well, if only we can get sewer, we can get development. And through all that, to my understanding, this site, while in a commercial district, has retained its residential zoning as part of a greater master plan that has a mix of uses, residential, commercial, and so forth. And so just wanted to kind of spell out, that's really why this site fits. That's why it was part of the, as far as I understand, the plan that was submitted to the state in June that dictates how you intend to meet your affordable housing obligation. And that's really why New Jersey HMFA, we feel, will view it favorably as a site for affordable housing. It's based on, standard criteria as far as the site location. I know that there were some comments made about recreational. We do have plans for a recreational space on the site. And all of the sidewalks on the site will be accessible grade sidewalks by law. It is a tough site to navigate by grade, but we will be mandated to comply with accessible walkways.
Since you offered the ability to ask a question, I would like to ask a couple questions.
Sure.
So in terms of the DEP, what engagement have you had with them thus far? Have they determined that there is a verification line where you can then build off of with the wetlands?
We do have a letter of interpretation, and we have designed our plans to stay entirely out of all of what they call the buffer areas. So New Jersey DEP determines where the wetlands line is. That's the letter of interpretation. And then they determine, based on the sensitivity of those wetlands, the setback that's required. And
So you actually received the line itself? Because I know for Lock Avenue Park expansion, it took us about 5 years to get that letter.
We have the letter, yes, and we did submit it as part of our testimony or part of our package to the Joint Land Use Board. And those letters are hard to get, and then they only last 5 years once you get them. But we have one, and so we based our plan off of that line and the mandated buffer. So, and in New Jersey, you can technically request area buffering. Our plan does not contemplate any buffering. We're staying 100% outside of the buffer areas throughout the entire wetlands.
So with that buffer, then what is the actual building space? Because there's been a couple of questions tonight as well. Is it 4 acres? Is it 5? Is it 4.2?
For the area building space, it's probably better if the planner spoke. I do have Josh Eckert here. I came prepared to speak more to the attributes of the project, but be more than happy to answer those questions.
Is that Committeeman Frederick you wish to hear from their
I'd like to hear that answer, yeah.
Okay, all right.
I'm sorry, we're going to hear from the planner.
Getting tired.
We're
Yes.
going to hear from the planner first.
Oh, okay.
George. Right. And then also same thing, since we've heard from almost every member of the Caltabiano family, if there was anyone else who wants to speak for the first time before we start hearing people speak for a second time. So I just want to put that out there.
First one, speaker?
Well, after the planner goes. And then I might call a recess because we've been here for 2 hours. I might call a 5-minute recess after we're here.
Hi, my name is Josh Eckert, and I'm a professional planner and architect based out of Haddonfield, New Jersey. The firm I work for is Urban Practice, and we actually designed and laid out the Tavistock Woolwich affordable housing project a few years ago as well. To answer your question, in the AH2 district, one of the criteria is maximum impervious lot coverage. It's allowed to be up to 60% of the site to be impervious coverage. We are at 30.3%, so we're actually 30% lower than what the allowable is. Now, that isn't this specific buildable area. That's basically sidewalks, parking areas, buildings, anything that's impervious. So my guess would be the actual buildable area based on that is that we're probably about 40 to 45% of the area that we're impacting on the site. Now, again, all of this will be discussed at the Joint Land Use Board as far as the impervious coverages, the maximum lot area, side yard setbacks, all that. Tonight, we're just speaking to minimums and maximums. Obviously, we have to meet those criteria, and our goal is to meet those criteria and exceed them, or basically not go for variances, I should clarify. Same thing with the building height. In the R2 district right now, you're allowed to do 35 feet. This ordinance is requesting 40 feet. It's basically the same number of stories typically. You can't build 4 stories in 40 feet. You can build 3 stories in 40 feet. You can build 3 stories in 35 feet. It's all based on building height dimensions and everything. So essentially, a lot of the criteria that's in here is similar to some of the R2 zone, but also obviously changed to accommodate the affordable housing on this site. The site is a tough site. It has topography, it has wetlands, it has a gas line running right down the middle of it. Despite all that, this is the best location for this particular use within the Woolwich Township. Again, going back to all of the reasons that have been discussed tonight, the need for the affordable housing around. One bit of my background, I'm actually an architect and planner from Indiana. My grandfather had a 120-acre farm. Everything that's happening in Woolwich Township right now, as far as the farms being carved up into single family, traffic issues, all that, everything is happening in my hometown in Indiana. The exact same. It's rural people that have lived there forever, and traffic, all these issues are coming up. However, the primary difference between Indiana and New Jersey is that New Jersey has a way of controlling it. And your township in particular has done a phenomenal job developing receiving areas so you can preserve open spaces in your community. Indiana has not done that at all, and therefore there are these issues that are coming up because of all this.
I think you're referring to TDR, which is not going to be a topic you want to even bring up
Yeah,
just now.
yeah, okay.
For sure. So, but going back to your 40-foot
Mhm.
height, since we're just asking
Yeah.
some of these questions,
Yeah.
I was going to see that till when we can speak. So based off of your plans to the 40-foot on Kings Highway, what would be the height as if you were staying on Garwin Road?
It's the same. I guess the building height definition is based on the average grade in the front to the midpoint of the roof, if it's a sloped roof, or the top of the ceiling if it's a flat roof.
So if I'm on Garwin Road, which is significantly lower than
Mhm.
Kings Highway,
It would
the
still
max
be-
it would be, even from Kings Highway, we would be able to see is 40 feet from that ground level?
I don't
think that's a true statement, which is why I'm asking.
It's the building, I guess the building height definition is per building. It's not for the whole entire site.
So
Is
we
that what
take
you're
the
asking?
furthest east building, which would be
Mhm.
the one closest to Kings Highway.
Yeah.
Its 40-foot height. What would be its appearance if I was standing on Garwin Road? 60, 70?
I believe there's a 25 to 30 foot height difference between there. Yeah, 35. Yeah.
So it appears it's a 75-foot building. Is that correct?
Potentially, yes. If you're going to the 40-foot maximum.
Yep.
However, I would say there's the building height if you're looking at it from Garwin Road, but then also the building height definition again, which is slightly different.
And then just one last question. So for
Yes.
the when was the plan designed?
The physical plan or the site plan?
Yeah, the site plan.
I believe it was earlier this year when the developer started looking at it. I don't remember exact dates.
Or before you got DEP approval for the?
No, they had the LOI before we started laying out the site.
You had the LOI.
Yes, so we knew exactly where the boundaries were for both the gas line as well as the wetlands buffer as well. So the site has been based off of those site constraints and fitting the buildings and the parking within those as well.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Any other questions? And again, we will be hitting most of these topics, specifics on with the joint land use board as well. So,
Understood.
Yeah.
I'm not on joint land use board, so I figured I'd ask the
that's fine.
questions now. Thanks.
That's fine. Yes.
Thank you. All right, since we have been going for 2 hours, I'm going to ask for a 5-minute recess. Can I have a motion for a 5-minute recess?
Motion for
Second.
5 minutes.
Motion and a
Sorry.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
We are in recess for 5 minutes. To session.
Motion to return to session.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We are returning to session.
I know. This song, how can we get her?
Okay, is there anyone from the public who has not had an opportunity to speak once? Please come forward.
Good evening. My name is Marianne Matthew, and I live on 33 Wayne Drive in Woolwich. I want to bring up the question of safety with the traffic. As it is, during the school year, there have been numerous times when I've seen the high school students walking along 322 going to the Wawa. Okay? And that's a big concern because you never know when these children are going to hit. And during winter, after practice, when they're wearing a black hoodie, a black sweatpant, it is so difficult. Then coming on 322 to turn into Garvin Road, my eyes are behind my head wondering who's going to hit me. It is so, there's so much of traffic. Madam Mayor, you mentioned that, oh yes, we'll put in sidewalks. And the developer said, oh yes, there's going to be sidewalks. Is he going to put in sidewalks from the project all the way to Wawa? Because you know people are going to walk to Wawa to get stuff, whether it's soda. So who's going to be responsible for that? So safety is a big concern. Secondly, Madam Mayor, the lawyer for the developer was just here, and he said everything is being decided. The only agenda for the board is to vote yes on the ordinance. Madam Mayor, I request you sincerely, please keep the concerns of your fellow residents in mind before the whole board votes on this ordinance. Because he sat here a few minutes ago and said, everything has been approved, all you need to do is vote yes. But please consider every issue that your fellow residents have brought to your attention and vote accordingly. That's my only request. Thank you for your time.
And I agree, traffic is a big issue along the 322 corridor, which was why the steps have been taken to start adding, when developments come in, to start adding sidewalks so there is a pathway for kids to get from Kingsway. And I know, hang on, and I know, like, even the warehouse that's behind in your backyard, there's a sidewalk added there. So as each parcel comes online, they are adding sidewalks. So at least for the kids walking, it's going to be something. It gets us a little closer. Each step gets us a little closer along 322. But that doesn't help with the traffic. So,
Just to add to your point.
there, can you come back up to the microphone, please?
You talked about sidewalks. Just to add to your point, I don't know if you know where we live. We live right behind Kingsway High School baseball field. And my children were never allowed to walk to school. They were not allowed to cross Garvin Road to go to Kingsway High School, the middle school, because there was no sidewalks. So in the morning, we would drop them off. No, they would take the bus. But in the evening, they would say, Mom, if we stayed for after-school activities, we are the last to get off the bus. So if Kingsway High School does not allow my child, that where we lived right behind the high school, to walk there because there was no sidewalk. I'd just like to point that out to everybody here.
Good evening. My name is Pam Gray. I reside on Block 16, Lot 2. I am strongly against changing the zoning to affordable low-income 72 rental apartments. Number one, this would affect my property value. Number two, there are wetlands and gas lines that run through the property. Number three, if there are any deer hunters here, please close your ears. Deer run back and forth across Garwin Road into the fields to feed. We have fox that have their dens around the fields. Turkey run back and forth also. This season I got to see one with their little babies running across. There are numerous amounts of birds, including the state bird, the yellow finch. Also, I have seen great white-headed and tailed bald eagles several times, as well as a few of my neighbors. Garvin Road right now is dangerous, right now. I am personally petrified when I go out on Garwin onto 322, Garwin and Kings Highway. Sometimes vehicles are heading straight for me, and I have to swerve over to the right into Al Cataviana's property. Now, driving back into Garwin from 322 is nerve-wracking. 2 lanes heading west merge into one right on Garwin and 322. I am making a left into Garwin, waiting for eastbound traffic to get by, while westbound traffic is behind me and sometimes quick pull around the side of me. Now, driving from Swedesboro on Kings Highway to get back into Garwin, making a left-hand turn, is the same situation. However, cars fly by me on the right by the animal hospital. They just go right around me, and I have my blinker on. My fear is being hit from the rear and pushed into oncoming traffic. I have resided in my home for 41 years and now pray a lot more getting in and out of Garwin Road. When school is in session, traffic is and will be worse. There are better locations for apartment buildings that have been identified by the township. Thank you.
Steve Beresny, 27 Wayne Drive, Woolwich. I sent the mayor and the committee people an email a couple of weeks ago when this meeting was supposed to be 2 weeks ago, because I wasn't planning on speaking. But I don't want to reiterate everything in my email. I hope you all got it. You've heard all the comments tonight with the traffic. The traffic is horrendous. They're building 1,100 houses north of Kingsway. It's my understanding, I've been told, they're going to build a road from that development out to Garwin. If that happens, I don't know if that's true. I've heard that.
I don't believe that's reflected anywhere in those plans.
But the traffic at Garwin and 322, like I said, it's horrendous. My next door neighbor wanted to be here tonight. Lorraine Watkins at 19 Wayne Drive. She had an accident there 2 months ago. She's waiting to turn left on Garwin. She got rear-ended. You got it. It's not, I know you need affordable housing. I know the state mandates that. There's no way around that. There's got to be a better location. That is not a practical site for it, especially with the additional 1,100 houses and the warehouses coming on. You've heard the people speak about the safety. Unfortunately, I feel like some of the comments I've heard tonight from the committee, it sounds like it's predetermined, that your minds are made up. I hope I'm wrong. I honestly hope that I'm wrong. But all I can say is if you vote yes for this proposal on that site, you ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Wayne Stewart. I live at 27 Garwin Road. I'll be the next door neighbor to the proposed apartment complex. So I would ask for just 5 minutes of your time. And everything has been said that can be said about this. I know you guys are in a tough position. This checks off all the boxes, I guess. I was on the zoning board in Logan. I have concerns about this 50, 30, 20-foot stuff, how that's going to work. But the safety of the community and the children, there should have been a light years ago at Garwin and 322. I can hear accidents from my window. And to go ahead and put 72 units to add to the fund when there's 1,100 houses being built directly across 322. There has to be like a component where we think about value to the community, and the state of New Jersey needs to understand that and give some of us the name of the person who's going to impose some penalties on you guys if you don't put this right here, because then they need to hear from us, and I wonder how they would feel if this was going in next to their house, across the street from the school where their kids go to, with a crazy traffic situation. 322 is a mess. And yes, everyone has been saying it. I'm gonna say it again. And I want you to see something. The folks over here didn't see this. And this is an actual. This was in June of 2025, right? So the property's gonna go right back here. I live right next to it. And this is, tractor trailers, people can rear end, push, head-on collisions. You got the kids just getting their licenses, driving. They don't have the patience, they're pulling out. It's already a mess, so we're just adding to it. And I don't know, if I was on the board, and I was on the zoning board, we have to make tough decisions like this, and we said, no, sorry. It's a good idea, but it's not a good idea. For bigger, better reasons. So, I just want you to see in real time, this is the middle of the day, like 10 a.m., so imagine what it's like just trying to get onto the road. And then Kings Highway. Where's the entrance going to be to this place? Is there going to be an entrance on Garwin and on Kings Highway? All right, so you can say, well, they're going to walk on Kings Highway. That's where all the school buses are coming through. I believe she did. Just give this a lot of thought because this is going to be a mess if this happens here. And I'm pretty sure there are places that we can put this where we serve the tenants better too. So that's it. Not to mention cloud grab, and I'm more concerned about the safety. More so. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Solandra Stewart at 27 Garwin Road, the property right beside where the proposed property is to be built. And it's in a proposal stage, but we have 2 young kids. And we moved to our home, we bought our home 6 years ago, and just moving from an area that was overpopulated. And thinking that this was going to be a great area that's rural. Since we've moved to our home, there has been the warehouses being built, also just other types of construction, the roads where they were putting in pipelines or changing out whatever they were doing, gas lines, whatever it was. But the construction of it and then even the road work, it has been horrendous. Like many nights I had to take sleep aids because of all the bombing and whatever they're, just preparing the grounds. But also my youngest son almost got hit because of at the bus stop right in front of our home, a car decides to just go around anyway. He was getting off the bus and he has special needs. It's very emotional for me, but also just what bothers me is actually if this comes to, an acceptance stage, all of the construction that's going to, be taking place and the dangers and accidents that can possibly happen. And some has already happened. So thank you for your time.
Is there anyone who has not had an opportunity to speak at least once that chooses to do so? Okay. All right. Ashton, I'm going to call on you because I believe there's a couple clarifications that need to be made.
So while you all were speaking, I was taking notes on what people were saying. And I just wanted to provide some clarification, both for a statement I made and others. So regarding the bridge culvert, I am not an engineer, so that is why it is not being looked at. I am a planner. But the point being said is that the township does not necessarily go out and just do analysis, but an analysis will happen at the time that the application is heard in front of the board. So there is a board engineer who is reviewing all the documentation provided by the applicant, and that should be addressed at that time. So if there's any outstanding questions, the board engineer would be the expert who could answer those questions. Secondly, there was the conversation about what the middle zone would be. The ordinance does expressly state that the R2 zone is being rezoned to this. So there will be no middle anything. It'll be the rezoned property and the CC zone. And then lastly, there was a statement about the MUD zone being finalized and done. The MUD zone is specified in the housing element and fair share plan, but any, say, i.e. 20% set aside, those details have not been codified yet. So the MUD zone in the housing element and fair share plan, which is submitted to the state, does specify that there will be affordable housing in those properties, but the actual details and standards of those have not been codified. Those,
I misspoke on that regards.
I just wanted to clarify for the public so that the record's clear.
Thank you. All right. So at this point, everybody from the public has had an opportunity to speak at least once that chooses to do so. Caltabianos, I will offer you one member, one opportunity to come up for 5 more minutes, should you choose.
Basically, I just have a question. A lot of people sat here and gave all kind of numbers. We'll do setbacks. We're this far from this. We're this far. Has there been a drawing of what this is going to look like buildings that shows the roads in and out? You don't even know where the driveways are going to be yet, do you?
That has been submitted to the Joint Land Use Board.
Is there a drawing?
Yes, to the Joint Land Use Board. Yes.
Okay. Have you seen it?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Well, I was just wondering if you were going to vote on this without even seeing that what they're proposing is actually going to work on that. I know numbers don't lie, but liars can, yeah. Numbers don't lie, but liars know how to use numbers. So the thing is, it's hard for me to believe that they can do what they say they're going to do. But if you go ahead and vote on this and rezone it, then they now have opportunity to make it work. And that isn't really necessarily how it's supposed to work, is it? I mean, you propose that this is what we're going to do and this is what we can do, and then you agree that, yes, okay, that's good. If I come in here and build something, you would want to see what I'm going to do. Nobody here's seen it, and it just seems we got the cart ahead of the horse here. You want to do the zoning, but why don't we see what's going on with the land use and see if it's going to work and all that before you decide to rezone.
And I hear what you're saying. I completely hear what you're saying, and I understand it and I appreciate it. But the site plan, the site-specific plan, is the purview of the Joint Land Use Board. So this ordinance is looking at the property. Would the Township Committee allow 100% affordable on this property? Then once it comes down to the site specifics, that goes to the Joint Land Use Board. So you are welcome to take a look at the site plan and attend all those hearings for that. So
Well,
it is available to the public.
I don't want to see the
but-
site plan. I'd like to see a full drawing with all the buildings and
That's
all
what
the
it is.
sidewalks and where there's supposed to be playgrounds and how close we're going to be to that.
And
People
that's what it
playing,
is.
the kids playing on top of the gas lines.
And I believe your son actually, Oprah, requested those site plans, and if not, they are available. So we have them available. But unfortunately, this ordinance just addresses, like you said,
Yeah.
the opportunity. So we have to create a realistic opportunity. That's what this ordinance is considering.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunately two different things. But I hear what you're saying. It is available to look at and to see how it fits. Once, if we
Everybody on the
pass
committee's
this,
seen it?
I believe so.
You've seen it?
I did.
You've seen it? Okay. The guy there, he's a little busy. I don't know.
Well, he's our attorney, so.
Yeah, well, that's not great for you. But anyway, it's, That's all I have to ask.
Thank you. All right, seeing as everybody has had an opportunity to speak, I would look for a motion to close the floor to the public.
Motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now, I am looking for a motion to adopt ordinance 2025-12. Do I have a motion to adopt?
I'll make a motion to adopt.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, committee, any questions regarding this ordinance?
Can we go first? Yeah. All right. So, as I stated numerous times when the room was empty, and I said no multiple times, I'm still concerned about the actual formula. I'm concerned about the actual count that derived the number. For those who are not aware, when it first came out to us, the state brought their own version of the map, which basically stated that we need to do affordables where we already did affordables in round 3. So there has been a lot of flaws in that initial design that was presented to us. We chose as a committee, not holistically, but as a committee to move forward. I have been working with the planner multiple times to understand what is that right number. I'm still not convinced we're at the right number, to the point where I know we have excluded group homes, which again is debatable in terms of where they would go, as well as other locations. But I'm concerned that the numbers that we're even trying to present holistically for the town, not just a specific site, is incorrect. Number 2, I know a lot of people are talking about traffic. Totally understand. I've driven my fair share on Garwin as a whole. We have done, again, separate topic than truly what we're talking about holistically tonight, understand it as a whole. We have submitted numerous letters to the state, and I would encourage all of you in this room to do this as well and explain the frustration and the concerns, or if someone wants to take the lead and we can do a rally like we did for funding formula. Thank you for the schools, which was a tremendous success because of the community rally. So regardless of what happens tonight with this ordinance, traffic needs to be resolved. And it is not going to be resolved no matter what happens here. It is a separate subject that would love someone to rally around and work with us, because we have sent letters. We had Dr. Lavender from Superintendent Kingsway. We sent letters to the state asking about reviewing 322 to the point where they wanted to repave the road when a developer was already set to pave the road, right? So again, something is off holistically on the traffic piece as a whole. In terms of the specs, obviously I highlighted it when I was talking to the planner, that the building height of 40 feet, which is part of the ordinance, is crazy, right? One, for most people can see the warehouses that are there now, that is 40 feet. As we talked about, and we have a response from, if we have roughly that 30 or so feet, we're talking about 75 feet high if you are standing on Garwin Road. That is basically a 7-8 story building, which again is just, that we can change if we wanted to move forward collectively as a unit. That 40 is just, makes no sense whatsoever. The wetlands, as I mentioned, with that offset, certainly that is a joint land use board, and just to be clarification, right, joint land use board are the people who actually truly would approve the application, right, if it gets to that point in time. So again, whatever you guys are looking at and seeing, a lot of the points that you raise is very relevant for a joint land use board as compared to essentially what we do within the committee itself. And then same thing, what has not been addressed, again, talking back specifically with the ordinance, I know we verbally talked about it, was the word off-site parking, where again, the intent was the off-site parking is contained within the building structure, the parameters itself. But last I checked, off-site parking could then be Kings Highway and a very short and narrow Garwin Road already, right? So again, that's how it's been read, or it could be interpreted as a whole. I mean, obviously it's currently zoned an R2, so there is obviously the idea for residential holistically, but at an R2 level, which is more heavier congested, but not as a AH2 as it was being proposed as well. So again, there are other alternatives that's been discussed. As we talked about with the MUD, which is essentially behind Sinclair, behind CVS, and actually across the other side of Kings Highway is the MUD. That is with that 20%, again, which doesn't quite get us by itself, right? But we could certainly review that holistically. So again, I know we're getting closer to the vote, but again, just wanted to express some of my concerns. Number one, first and foremost, about how the count was created, how the formula was developed, where again, potential change of government next year could result in a change of calculation, which therefore could change the amount of units we might actually need as a whole. So for those reasons, they are my concerns. So when we get to voting, you can obviously hear where I'm going, but I just want to state those points and to see if there's any questions on what I stated.
Do you have any proposed amendments?
The amendment, sure, if we want to go there. So the building height at 40 feet, I would like to amend that to not to exceed 20. So I will make a motion to change the building height from current ordinance 40 feet to 20 feet.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for amendment of 20 feet. However, doing that completely changes the potential here. So I have a motion and a second because I don't even know how we would consider that because it's for 72 units. And again, your points, while very valid, are not directly related to this ordinance. They're according to the fair share overall plan. So your hypothesization as far as that we could fit the number, the state mandated number, is debatable. And as you're saying,
I totally agree. I totally agree.
We can go over this back and forth. So, but what we have in front of me, or us, to amend it to 20 feet, I believe would not provide a realistic opportunity. So, but we have a motion and a second. Roll call on the amendment.
Committeeman Frederick.
Yes.
Committeewoman Minhas.
Yes.
Committeewoman Williams.
No.
Deputy Mayor Nocentino.
No.
Mayor Mathias.
No.
That's my only proposed amendment.
Okay. Any other committee comments?
You know, we've heard from a lot of residents tonight. I think it ultimately is our responsibility to protect the interests of all of Woolwich Township. Based on my experience on committee, a builder's remedy lawsuit has had the biggest negative impact on Woolwich Township in my entire life that I've seen here. I think it is with our best interest to avoid this. We have worked with the planner to come up with the most viable number based on all of his planning expertise, and that's all I have.
Any other committee comments? I will add, I hear the residents about traffic. Traffic is a huge concern in the whole entire area. And it is amazing to think that the state would allow the 322 corridor to be developed as it is without widening it. So we're going to take any steps that we can at the Joint Land Use Board with all the developments coming in, the warehouses, any retail projects to make sure that we have walkable communities because the retail will be coming. So I know I'm not putting up a sign out front of 322, but it is planned for. And again, it's about coming to a realistic opportunity for development. That being said, if there are no further comments, roll call, please.
Committeeman Frederick.
As noted in my comments, again, my concern about the count, the formula, excluding some of the group homes holistically, and knowing that we technically do have 10 years to comply, and I believe there are alternatives that would take effort, but there are efforts that could, in my view, occur. I am voting no.
Committeewoman Minhas.
So after listening to everyone, the concerns, everything being valid, me not living or being on Garvin Road, not knowing what goes on in there, even though my son played football for Kingsway, but we never took that road. So that whole intersection for me, I didn't realize that it was such a big concern with the family's presentation to see exactly what was going on that road and with the flooding and all that. It is concerning. So I vote no.
Committeewoman Williams.
Okay, I also, could you be quiet? It's my turn to speak.
These are my kids, and I'm worried about them. How about that? Tired of it. I'm worried about the fucking kids. Worried about my kids.
I'll speak when it's quiet in here. I have listened to everything tonight. And yes, I back up to the Wolfson project. There will be a warehouse or whatever behind my house. I know it. It's been 20 years. I was pregnant with my first child. Okay? I made a decision that I'm here to stay in Woolwich. And now I'm very much involved in Woolwich. And it is difficult to listen to all of you. But we have to provide this opportunity. Because if we don't, every one of you will be on Woolwich Uncensored complaining about your tax increase because we will be sued. Okay? It will happen. Okay? That lawsuit went on for close to 20 years, hundreds of thousands of dollars. We have worked so hard in Woolwich to not have a municipal tax increase. We are finally in a position where we have a little bit of cushion room in case some sort of disaster hits us. Okay? Every decision we make is for the benefit of the entire community here. And we have to comply with what the state makes us. And I think the most compelling argument I heard tonight for this was the fact that if we do not do this and we go just with our 20% set-asides, we would have an additional, how many homes did I hear? Was it 500 homes to make it up for this? So 72 versus 500. Okay, think about the traffic that 500 are going to have. Okay, total congestion. Therefore, I vote yes.
72 houses on another site?
Deputy Mayor Nocentino.
Yes.
Mayor Mathias.
I sympathize with everyone here. I hear your frustrations. And I think we need to work on the traffic. And I think we can address that. My vote is yes. Help us help ourselves by not putting it here. So that being said, 2025-13, ordinance approving an application and financial agreement for a long-term exemption with PG Woolwich Urban Renewal LLC for the construction of affordable housing project located on Block 16, Lot 5 pursuant to Act NJSA 40A:20-1 ex sequitur. This is the second reading public hearing for a pilot agreement. So can I have a motion to open the floor to the public?
Motion to open the floor.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So again, as ordinance 2025-13 is considered part and parcel of affordable housing plan, you might be asking, why is the township considering a pilot? So a pilot, which is the acronym for a payment in lieu of taxes, is an agreement which, not that the developer doesn't pay any money, but that they pay the money and it goes directly to the municipality. So a perfect example is that if a tax was $1 on a property, in regular taxes, Woolwich Township would see 16% of that. With a pilot, the Woolwich Township would see 95% of that, with 5% going to the county. Now, according to the low-income housing tax credit plan, and the parameters set by that, there are very, very specific requirements as far as what the pilot can include or should include. So this is very standard, and we have this pilot in every single affordable housing project. Correct, Ashton? I don't want to speak incorrectly.
We can definitely say every 100%.
Every
Yeah.
100% affordable housing project has this pilot in place because, again, this goes towards the scoring criteria for how the developer can get their 9% tax credits so that the township does not have to spend $25 million. So qualifying for these 9% tax credits typically requires having a pilot agreement. And again, they are paying the municipality. It's not a tax abatement where they don't pay anything for a certain amount of time. They are paying taxes on the property. It is a financial stability. It helps the developers meet their underwriting criteria, and it gets the private investment necessary to build and operate affordable housing. So Woolwich Township has signed a resolution already, which passed 5-0 in support of this project, demonstrating local commitment. The project meets the Fair Share Housing Guidelines, the FSHMA criteria, ensuring compliance with state affordable housing laws. And for the township, offering a pilot supports building more affordable housing, aiding in the meeting of local legal obligations and community need. And one thing that's really important to note, because I know we say this isn't about affordable housing, but it is about affordable housing. We mentioned the other projects that are inside Woolwich Township. There are waiting lists on every single one of those properties. Years, waiting lists. So there is a need for this inside Woolwich Township. It's not that it's needed somewhere else, it's needed right here in our town. So that is why we are considering ordinance 2025-13. So that being said, I had a motion and a second to open the floor to public comment on motion or on ordinance 2025-13. The floor is open for public comment.
I'm still Jordan Slump, 10 Wilshire Boulevard. Pilot plan for children. Just so everybody in the audience know, because you never explain it to them. All these children will be going to our school systems. No tax from these facilities will go to our school system. You always forget to tell the public that. So these kids will never pay school tax, their families. Because this is 30 years, correct? Mm-hmm. 30 years will never pay school tax. And we're okay with that. And I asked to come up in the previous one, you wouldn't let me come again. But again, we're building this for kids. They're going to walk to Kingsway. They're going to cross 322 because you've already said it. We're putting in the sidewalks. They're going to cross 322. You can't get crossing guards now. What are you going to do? And the last point, because you'd never answer my question, and the gentleman that they want to build, he answered it. I think his number was 198 units through the fair share. I think that was his number. We're doing 72, and then there was another number that would take us up to 116, a credit. So I'm not a math major, but 198 minus 116, where are they going? That was his number. There's houses out there that still got to be built. You said here tonight, there's no other land. You said that tonight, there's no other land. Where are those other 80 homes, 70 homes going to go?
So there was no other land that met the 100% affordable requirements,
Okay.
but the other mixed-use zones would be facilitated, ideally, should it pass, with a 20% set aside. So that was why this was needed in addition to those, to have any chance of hitting that number.
And then the fearmonger said, if we don't do it, there's 500 homes. Where's that land?
Well, if you were trying to meet all the credits exclusively through a 20% set aside.
I understand all that, but you throw these numbers out, and I still haven't received from you where this number came from. Mr. Frederick says it. He doesn't agree with the numbers. I don't understand. We build out for Weatherby, the affordable. We're building out for Wilson, the affordable. Where did this need come from?
Round 4, State of New Jersey obligations.
And where were the houses built that we have to give X amount of percent to build this affordable? Where were they built?
I am not personally familiar with the formula. It comes out of the DCA, the Division of Community Affairs. We received that number and we're told you either accept this or you're exposed to additional lawsuits. We then were able to decrease that number through a vacant land analysis, which the planner went through. That vacant land analysis is something that should, provided we don't add additional sewer, be something that protects us outside of round 4 so that perhaps we don't have such intense discussions every 10 years. But we were able to get that number down based on Ashton's analysis. He has presented this at the Land Use Board meeting and in front of Township Committee, but I am certain he's happy to talk about it with you again because that's what he does.
But maybe he can answer me. The gentleman used 198 to 116. Where's the rest go?
So the number is 182. That is what's called an RDP, a realistic development potential. This project would do 72 units plus 46 credits, which are, we'll save that for another conversation, 46 credits for 118 credits. And then my mental math is bad, but you subtract 118 from 182, that would be the remainder number of units that need to be built to then comply with the 182.
And where is that land going to be?
So that land, at least as indicated in the housing element and fair share plan, that land, those units would be in the MUD zone. Those parcels that were discussed earlier, CVS, Dunkin' Donuts, those are both zoned MUD.
Glad somebody finally answered.
So Ashton, since you were just talking numbers, there was a number stated 533 or something like that. Does that make any sense to you?
I think what he was saying is to get 72 units, I'd have to do my mental math, but what he was saying is to get 72 affordable units with a 20% set aside, you would need 500 plus whatever units. You take 20% of that and you get your 72. And then he did the math again with a 15% set aside.
Assuming we keep the percent at 20% versus a 15 versus a 30 versus whatever.
Versus a 30 versus a 10 versus a 5. Yeah, that was just the math he was saying.
Thank you.
Seeing no one further from the public come forward, anybody going once?
Why not? Oh, here. Pull up the pilot thing. Pilot money. Does anything get taken out of that and used towards school taxes at your decision?
The committee can decide in order if they want to allocate some of that funds to the school.
To help alleviate.
The committee can completely decide it.
Everybody else living here to pay for no taxes for that.
That committee can make the decision.
You can do it.
We could do it, yep.
Are you really thinking about doing it?
So not in this ordinance right now, but that is absolutely something the township can consider.
It's been spoke about and.
Oh, absolutely. I think you have several former members of the school board here who very much care about the kids in our district. So this is absolutely something that we should consider. And so it's just not considered in this ordinance right now because this is with us and the developer. But it is absolutely something we could.
Not just this ordinance, but there's a lot of pilot money coming into the township.
That is, and that's going to pay down the $18 million sewer system. Yep.
You've been able to hold down the local taxes and all that. Or are you doing it with the pilot money?
That's how we're paying it down, because we have an $18 million sewer system that we're paying off.
But then, are you also going to help the school? I mean,
so we absolutely can consider that.
Percentage and send it to that. I mean,
we can absolutely consider that.
You have heard of people, municipalities that took in all the pilot money, and then 20 years later they're crying that they don't have any money for schools because they spent all the pilot money on something else.
So that is something that is a major concern of mine personally, and working with Committeeman Frederick, we make sure that all of the pilot money is spent that would not otherwise normally be received in taxes only on one-time costs so that you don't find yourself in a scenario. We're not using that pilot money to artificially deflate taxes. That would be very irresponsible.
And one other point, if I may, we actually have done 2 agreements with the schools off of previous pilot agreements, one for, of course, Swedesboro Woolwich School District and for Kingsway. So that has been successfully done in the past.
Oh, glad to hear that. And thank you all. Can't say it's been a pleasurable night, but good night.
Good night.
Mary Ann Matthew from Woolwich. This is on the previous ordinance. I know you guys passed it. I'm just really curious. The developers bought it in May, and you guys really pushed it through so quickly. Why? Why?
Am I, since we, because this is the public session for this, can I answer that?
We're just talking about this ordinance.
Yeah.
She asked about other work done with that.
Even,
I can talk to you.
yeah.
Some other.
So why push it through so quickly? I'm just curious. What did the developer bring to the table that is so incredibly valuable when somebody else owns this property? I know it's owned by the Mertans. What did he bring to the table that was so valuable that it was pushed through so quickly?
So,
I know that indirectly that did come up in the public comments earlier, but I just wanted to know, I was just curious, that's all.
the state of New Jersey, in their infinite wisdom, not only gave us our numbers of our affordable housing numbers in January, but then made sure that we had to have our fair share housing plan submitted by the end of